Sorry about the house, sir.
Is okay. I believe it's insured.
Is that the take we're going with?
That's the take we're going with.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics podcast, where we are covering Olympus Has Fallen. With me today, we have...
Hello, everybody. I'm one of your Secret Service members, a geeky writer. Wait, that's supposed to say podcast host.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from Olympus, you can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Blue Ski. We have a LetterBoxd where we have all our average numbers or whatever, doohickeys, everything at the end that we put into that of what we covered. We got a visual side of things over on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Spotify. But hey, maybe you're just an audio listener. Tons of platforms out there as well. And even for Spotify, I guess could have brought this up too. You can listen to the Spotify version audio still. You don't have to watch the visual if you don't want to. So Spotify's both. Oh, shoot, and the intro. Okay, we're back.
All right, that was a heck of an intro right there. So, as mentioned, Olympus Has Fallen. You might be wondering, Olympus Has Fallen, what a weird thing to do. Well, spoiler alert for the season, we're doing trilogies. And
but hey, it is not a themed season. Don't you think that?
I was going to clarify. The way we approached this season is it's personal picks, but it's more like an extended pick kind of. Because it's a trilogy.
Personal trilogy.
But that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Personal trilogies. I picked the Has Fallen trilogy. Which I'm sure Sprinks is happy that we are covering one of his New Year's resolutions fairly early in the year.
Yeah, I just thought a trilogy would be nice. And you're getting 3 of them.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It is true.
Unlike, this is also kind of thing like when we did Kung Fu Panda. It's like, well, there's 4 of them. We could do a whole season of it. And they were split up all throughout and took a long time kind of getting through them all. This one's not like, Olympus Has Fallen. When's London's Fallen coming out? Don't worry, that's next week. But it's not like, oh, it's going to take forever kind of thing. So.
Yeah, speedrunning these. So we will go with our histories first before going into facts. And we will start with writer's history.
All right. I haven't seen this movie before. However, I tend to follow the action spy thriller genre a little bit, so this was on my peripherals. I did see a couple things of it. I tended to ignore most of it because I wanted to see this one day. And here we are. I'm finally here seeing it. My personal history with things around this is I'm autistic about military things in my spare time sometimes. I'm sure I've subjected Crimson and Sprinks to that plenty of times. So there is a lot of I will say a very tactical feeling to a lot of what happens in this film, which is I guess allowed me to kind of extend a little bit into that passion a little bit. So that is my history.
Awesome. How about you, Sprinks?
Oh boy, I've heard of this movie. That's a clarifying question. Is it just about the movie or the whole franchise?
Sure, we can do franchise too. So Reddit can jump back after.
Okay, sweet. So Olympus Has Fallen, I've heard of it. I've seen trailers for 2 of the 3 movies. Couldn't tell you which trailers they were. And I haven't seen any of them. That's about it. I didn't know who was in it. I didn't know who directed it. I didn't know what it was about. It was just action movie. And I went, cool. And moved on and watched something else.
So you were 99% blind, 1% being you've heard of it.
Yes. 1% evil, 99% hot gas.
All right. Ryder, I guess if you want to add the trilogy as a whole, anything.
I've heard of them. That's about it. I didn't know there was a third one. I knew The London Has Fallen was a thing. I still don't remember the name of the third one, even knowing that it's a trilogy.
All right, well, we'll get to that in a couple weeks. I'll go with my histories. I'm kind of like Ryder in some respects, where I only knew there was 2 of them for the longest time, but I thought it was the first and the third one. I never heard of London Has Fallen. So I have seen Olympus Has Fallen and Angel Has Fallen. That's the third one. But London Has Fallen I didn't know about for a few years. So that was kind of surprised that I skipped the middle movie in the trilogy.
Wonder how
Doesn't
much
really
it
happen
mattered.
all that much. Suppose so. I barely remember Angel Has Fallen, so I don't know how much it references the previous films or not. I know a little bit. But that's the extent I've seen Olympus Has Fallen twice. Once originally a few years ago when it was on TV, and then once for the podcast. And I guess little tangential. Another White House movie came out this year, 2013 when this came out. White House Down. I've seen that one, and I really enjoy that one.
Did that one also
Without
have Morgan
comparing
Freeman?
how it stacks with this. No, that one had I always
Channing
forget
Tatum and
his
Jamie
name.
Foxx.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. So I do enjoy that one, but I won't say if I like that one more or less than this because that will spoil my opinions.
yes,
So
for that
with
movie.
that, well, if I say, "Oh, that's like an 8 movie and it's better than this one," that's already different, right?
You know what? Speaking of which, Crimson, you reminded me to look up something. Thank you so much.
No problem. So we'll dive into the facts section of what I found, and I will start with the budget. This film had a budget of 70 million USD, moderate, not too big, not too small, decent size, and a box office of 170 million. So it did pretty decent. Didn't knock it out of the park, but I guess enough to get a trilogy out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Then,
staying under budget and staying under. I mean, you can get pretty far if you stay under budget.
yeah, more than doubled the budget, which is pretty successful for most movies. So that's good on them. Into the other more interesting facts. In the special features, it mentions that the attack on the White House was planned by former Secret Service agents who were asked how they would attack if they had to. But it's kind of fun. I'd kind of want to hear their whole thought process on all that stuff because some of this is more believable than others.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess we'll get that in the coverage because I have a lot to say if that's true.
Interesting.
In one trailer used for television ads, included the emergency alert system tones, which are used to alert television viewers about real life emergencies. Playing them outside of emergency broadcasts or tests violates federal law. In 2014, the FCC fined ESPN, Viacom, and NBC Universal for $1.93 million for using the emergency alert system tones in non-emergency broadcasts.
That's awesome.
That's understandable. I get that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't know how
That's
that even
so
got by, anyways.
dumb by them to do that.
It is. It cost them essentially $2 million to do that.
I mean, maybe they made a calculation, like maybe this would get more attention to the film. So there's that. It could have helped bring in more revenue as people see the
Yeah.
movie. So
Yeah, but after a year, the movie's already been out.
Yeah, it's weird. It took them a year to find them for that. But
Was the movie?
well, I mean, that's probably was that when the lawsuit was filed, or was that when they officially had to pay the fine? Because they could have filed the lawsuit immediately, and they just took a while to get through proceedings.
from what I have here, it just says it was fined in 2014.
I see.
Was the movie done by the time that trailer came out?
Likely. I don't
Okay.
have that information.
Okay.
The next one is Morgan Freeman has openly stated in interviews that he did the film strictly for the money. The same with the other 2 films.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah,
why he would have to strictly state that, but I guess he has some passion behind his money for it.
I mean, it's not his best performance, but it's not his worst. So shrug, I guess.
Yeah.
I've seen people do worse for turning in a performance for the money. So
Yeah. When Banning gives Connor his badge, it's somewhat different from the badges of the other Secret Service agents because Banning has been working for the Treasury Department, which carries a badge of a Treasury agent. I didn't really notice that detail, but it's cool that they had that.
that's cool. I like that
Okay.
consistency.
That made sense to me. I didn't connect the treasury part, but
Robert Downey Jr. is a huge fan of the film and even sent Gerard Butler a letter to know how much he enjoys the film.
interesting. Sounds
Interesting.
odd.
Auditioning to play it. Yeah, a little bit.
And Winona Ryder was the studio's first choice to play the First Lady. Didn't happen, I guess.
Oh, no.
But I don't think she really fit the minimal
No.
role.
But maybe she would have
Anyhow.
done better than Spock's mom. So,
I don't know. I
Quite
think
possibly.
it was a good performance.
She did a good job for as limited time she was here.
yeah, I
I
think.
got that they loved each other. You know.
All right. And then the last fact I have, I'm going to ask you guys want me to hold it towards the end or not. It's talking about the early drafts of this and alternative storylines that were changed. Would you want that at the end or now?
Let's save it for the end.
I mean, all right. I'm the opposite. I'd say go now. So I guess you're the
Oh.
deciding vote, Crimson.
I'd rather our coverage is about
I'll go for the end.
whole film thought rather than constantly going back. Well, if they did that other ending, or if they did it the other way they said they would throughout the whole thing. If we don't know the knowledge, we can't compare it throughout the whole thing.
I agree with the idea. So I'll save it for the end. Any facts you guys have before we move on to the coverage?
This is not me doing any Sly Fox stuff. No, I don't have additional facts this season.
No Toy Story connections?
Nope, no Toy Story connections. I couldn't find it. I didn't even look. I'm sorry.
All right. Then we'll jump into the coverage. We're doing a 3-act structure where we can jump around within the acts. Act 1 consisting of the very beginning to when Banning enters the White House. So pretty much right after he pulls his guy who gets obliterated at the door. That's where the act will be. And we will start with Springs.
Cool. Here's a shocking one. The theme in this movie is just as impactful as Apollo 13. I think you could interchange both of those songs.
I agree with that because I think Apollo 13 is very generic and just fits the movie. It doesn't stand out. This fits the movie, but it also doesn't stand out. It sounds like generic military music that you just hear, like the snare drums and stuff.
Yeah, it's got the military drums and it's got like the patriotic like horns. Yeah. So it's very much in the style of like what you would expect from an I guess an American military movie. So I think this is Apollo 13. I would say is for me is forgettable aside from the one song. I would say this is more appropriate, but still fairly generic.
I think they're interchangeable.
So I'm
both good.
I'm not that. Yeah, I'm not that far down into interchangeable, but they're still. I would say they're in the neighborhood. Yeah.
So when you say interchangeable, are you saying between Apollo 13 and this, or just in their own things, other songs can replace them?
No, between these two films. If you take the theme from Olympus Has Fallen and overlap it into Apollo 13, I think it would work. Same with Apollo 13's theme into Olympus Has Fallen.
Interesting. I can see this one more going into Apollo than Apollo into this. I don't think it would feel the same.
Okay, so this is just the theme song, right? Not the rest of the OST.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's just the theme song, I think I agree. I do not agree if we were extending that to the rest of the OST, though. This one has a much more like...
This has more intensity.
Electric. yeah, electric intensity kind of behind it, whereas Apollo 13 is more silent intensity.
Silent intensity. Yes. Right.
No, for a
Writer, you
movie.
want to throw some? Hmm?
For my first one.
Sorry, for a movie, it doesn't compute in my brain to call a song a silent intensity.
Yes, for the feeling the song conveys, I think is what it's called. The silences.
No, what I mean is like,
Oh.
I meant that literally absent of music in Apollo 13.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, the silence in the film adds to the
'Cause-
intensity.
so-
Yes, not the song
yeah,
itself
so,
is silent.
yeah. So yeah, that's how I meant to say that. So clarifying for
Ah,
you. So when they're just kind of like it's quiet and they're floating around in the spaceship, that's it. You don't hear music, and then here you don't hear music, or in here like when he's walking across the street to his car, you hear that like like the
Yes,
electric stuff behind him. So that's kind of what I mean. Apollo 13 has more of the silent like intensity without the music, and this one has music sometimes when I would argue it probably doesn't need it. But
gotcha.
mhm. All right. Writer, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. One thing I liked is that they set up Connor wanting to be a Secret Service agent really early on. Uh, so it explains like how he could hide in the White House if something goes down. Um, so like they actually as they're driving they test him like where the exits are. Uh, he's memorized like where the other teams are going to be split up, and it helps show the bond between Banning and Connor very early on because that's kind of that is a cornerstone of the film, and it does have a payoff. I think that seems very strong for the two of them.
Well, not just them. I think the whole family with Banning. I think they did a good job with the kind of making him feel like part of the family and not just an employee
Yeah, well,
that's under.
he's with them every day. It makes sense. Like the fact the wife asks him because President Aaron Eckhart can't make a decision.
Yeah, so I think they did do a good job establishing that. Um, Between the first lady and the president, I think they achieved what they could with how little time they had together. I think it felt okay, but I think that would be the only like waning part in the
I
beginning
I
transition
have
of
a, I
everybody.
have a bit of a nitpick about that. It's because obviously everything up until that point is focused on Banning specifically until it's the two of them like together exchanging gifts. Um, because and that's kind of where the focus shifts a little bit away from Banning to Aaron Eckhart's character. Benjamin is President Benjamin.
Ben, yeah,
I
Ben.
didn't get
Okay,
the name Ben for the president until like the last scene in the movie.
that's fair. I
oh,
call I call him I call him President Eckhart
Yeah,
anyway. So, um, uh,
yeah. During
but
their boxing sparring, um, his name is said.
yeah, he
So
says it
I had
once.
that.
That scene too also shows the trust that he has with Mike. Is the fact that Mike can actually hit the president in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
um,
Before we trail on too much, though, Sprink's, I guess, thoughts on all the dynamics they were establishing.
well, between I guess Mike and Connor, find that they have a connection, and that Connor's very much just wants is like friends with Mike, or is connected to Mike because it's like, can I ride with Mike, not with any other Secret Service agents or anything. It's like specifically him, and that could also be like Mike is actually tailored to kind of be the right hand man of the president, which then in turn could be to the son Connor to look over him more so or be around him more so to build a relationship. So I think that was all fine. First lady, fine. I do really like the scene in the car though, exchanging the gifts. How she's very sweet about it. About like, oh, the fundraiser you don't want to go to, and you have all these things, but just this little moment of just us kind of thing, and it's very sweet. And then he makes it a little tongue in cheek with some charisma, bringing up his gift as like a joke, and I thought that was very sweet between the two of them. And then Mike and the president, that they get along, and the little spar at the beginning, and um, the president's asking Mike direct questions versus like everyone as a group around. Like, okay, you're going in that vehicle, you're going this way. He kind of gives Mike all the information for Mike to delegate to the rest of the team. So showing me how much trust he has specifically in Mike to not only relay information just once, but to trust him that he will get the job done across all the Secret Service.
Yeah, he does come off as very competent. I think actually both of them, the president and Mike, seem pretty competent. Not that we get too much leader stuff in the beginning, but he does feel like he carries himself well.
Yeah, I do also like a bit of the setup here with it's because it does come back later in one of the insults. I have him down as traitor agent. So what's his name?
Forbes.
Dave
Forbes. Yeah.
Okay, Forbes. So, but the exchange that the president has with his driver in the limo, he's like, "You ever been to a billionaire donor party? Yeah, they're all the same. That's terrible." And then he cracks a joke with his driver about it. And that's interesting because I view that now as a setup for Forbes, because Forbes at least uses that as an excuse when he insults the president later on, when he says you sold the country out.
$500 million or whatever the amount was, I forgot. But Forbes wasn't in that car, right? He was in the he was in.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was at home because he was retiring, but my point with that is that obviously Forbes would still have access to that and be around that because he's still a Secret Service agent. He'd been there for a while, so it's obvious he would have driven the president to some of those kind of parties.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the only time the president's doing anything that would have bugged Dave. I wrote him as Dave. I don't think I'll be able to stick with Forbes, so Dave is Forbes whenever I'm saying it.
Okay.
It's fine. That's his name. His name's Dave Forbes. So.
All right. I will do a little nitpicky thing for me, and that's when he's talking to Connor about the layout of the White House, the exits, the cameras, and all that. It is mentioned that the only cameras with audio is in the common areas, which I thought was going to be relevant, but it never came into play that the common area has cameras with audio. So kind of nitpicky that went nowhere, other than establishing the knowledge that Connor has, but that knowledge never really comes into play for the audience later.
Could just be a fact about the White House. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure it probably is. It's just in the movie you're kind of setting up something that could be utilized later, but it doesn't. Kind of an unsuccessful Tchaikovsky gun. But it is very minute, which is why I said nitpicky.
Okay.
Right, Sprinks.
Yeah, I have a
Chuck
Nick.
something out there.
I got a Nick. They immediately all think that the First Lady's dead upon the car hitting the ice.
Do they? I thought she was knocked out.
I think Sprinks is saying none of them run to rescue her.
When the car goes over and hits the ice down below, everyone's just like, "Oh, she's dead. Oh no, Connor's sad."
Yeah, that's actually a valid take, because
she could be alive. Like, get down there.
This is an armored limo, presumably. I think it can handle a little tumble. This is like one of those. In theory, this is one of those futuristic limos in GTA that can take a tumble off a cliff.
Like, I find that the storyline continues. Like, she died, being the injury and all. It's like, okay, but it could be more like, oh, we couldn't, save her in time, get her to the hospital enough. Yeah. Like, actually show rush to get her out of that car. It just pans back and shows like a helicopter spotlight. It's like, we got eyes on the car, and everyone's just on the bridge. It just seemed like the urgency stopped.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with that. I think the fix for this scene, right, is, do what happens, which is, the president screams no. You could cut out the sound at that point and just have the music play, and then you can kind of play everything like in slow-mo kind of cuts where they, maybe she is still alive, gets rushed to the hospital, but just doesn't make it due to a head injury, because head injuries, I mean, head injuries are pretty bad. I mean, like theoretically, a hard enough hit to the head will kill you. So I mean,
Also, that was a far drop, armored vehicle or not. There's some forces being put on your body. So.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm fine with her dying. I do think I'm in agreement though with Sprinks that I think the urgency should have been more apparent, because it is an armored car. She had her seatbelt on. It was theoretically possible for her to survive, but I still think that, yeah, just a little bit more I think would have been
Yeah.
needed, I guess. So I agree with that nitpick.
Especially with Mike giving his word to the president. Don't worry, I'll get her out. We got to get you out first. Like, he's telling the president, I will get her. And then the car goes over and they just kind of stop.
Yeah. I was initially angry with the scene because there's only like 3 Secret Service men trying to hold the car, and I'm like, where's the fucking rest of your team? And I think I'm glad we got the helicopter overhead shot, because it shows like, them in position squatting down in case someone decides to take a pot shot, which is very valid.
I'm securing the area.
Yeah, so I like that. I think I would have preferred to see, as Gerard's running to the limo. Mike is running to the limo. I think if he pointed out like, and was shouting orders as he ran to the limo and held it down like to people to fan out and secure the area, I think that would have helped me get there a little bit faster to be more comfortable with what the film was doing, I guess. Because I mean, there's only 4 people trying to hold up the limo, and I'm like, I mean, if you grab like a couple more, you could probably pull the limo back a little bit.
Yeah, possibly, but that could be part of his regrets of
Yeah,
because he acknowledges it's a failure. So
yeah.
could
Like
be
I said,
part of it.
I think him ordering people to go out, fan out, and secure the area would have been also put a little bit more into that weighing on him, because he gave that order, whether or not it was necessary.
Yeah, and if later Ben's like, "Why did you send them away? They could have helped save her." Something. It could have been more, but as is, I think it's definitely serviceable.
It's serviceable, yes. Solid. I would say a solid
Yeah.
B,
Secret
maybe
serviceable.
C plus. Yeah, secret
Yes,
serviceable.
that's a good one. Uh, so on my fact-finding dive, there's apparently a big question that the fans of this franchise debate about frequently, and that is whether or not the limo scenario was an accident or an attack, because there's no definitive answer to it. So I guess, what are your guys' opinions on it?
My opinion is I wish there was a line afterwards to explain it.
My opinion on it is I don't have an opinion, honestly, because I try to remember what strikes the first vehicle is like a tree branch, right?
It's hard to tell. It's kind of just black, and then the window cracks.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be a tree.
My best guess is a fallen tree branch, because the scene directly before it is the car is driving by the tree in the wind, and the wind's kind of picking up, and you hear sound effects of the tree,
Yeah,
which is
I
my
feel
like
like it's
keynote that
supposed to
that's the
be.
follow up.
Yeah, I feel like it's a tree branch that's falling. So if I'm worried to pick, I am going to go with accident. If it's something deliberate, I think the film would need to do something to
Yeah,
demonstrate
I
that
don't
it's
think it
more
would be
deliberate.
blind for 18 months, and then if it was like Kang, like follow up explanation that like we tried to take you out, 18 months ago or something like that. If it was supposed to be an attack.
Yeah, apparently the people that are like pro um, hit, I guess, is that um, what's his face stayed behind at the house instead of
Dave.
going with the convoy. Dave,
Yeah.
yes, that Dave stayed
Traitor!
behind and
But
hinting at maybe he knew that something was going to happen.
but
But
it wasn't
that's all I could find that the pro people
it
are
wasn't
saying.
Dave's choice to stay behind. Mike tasked him
No.
with that.
Well, actually, is that within the sex? Yeah. Yes. Um, I think one of the biggest issues with this film is something happening that isn't part of the plan. That's the president going against protocol and bringing in the foreign assets or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them. Uh,
Yeah.
if he went with protocol, this whole movie wouldn't have happened. So Kang's whole plan is contingent on the president saying, "No, bring them into the super secret bunker against protocol."
Think
Why?
of my only qualm about this is they might know that Aaron Eckhart as a president is like a good like he might like if you're a good leader, a good president, or just generally a good person, why wouldn't you want to try to help an ally? So maybe that's what they were relying on he because Seoul, South Korea is one of the United States' stronger allies typically. So I can buy them wanting to invite them into the bunker, but I think that uh, I need more of like example of that Kang was banking on that, or alternatively he was banking on finding Connor to get to the president anyway, since they were separated.
No, what should have happened was President sticking to protocol, go to his bunker, and then put the informants like Kane and all in a secure, safe location in the White House,
Yeah, like so he brings yeah maybe yeah.
but not to the bunker. That's against protocol.
I feel
It,
like so there's lines to this, right? I think the best way to get the without it seeming like Kane was relying on this coincidence, it I feel like the president would have brought in at least the prime minister and none of his security team. Maybe I feel like that's kind of where I would stretch it, and I think then the prime minister can put his foot down and say, "Let me bring at least one security member with me" or something to that effect. That it can kind of work like that a little bit, and then failing all this, right, where let's say the president follows protocol, then Kang still enacts his plan, but he just gets Connor as a hostage to then get the bunker open, because that's how you would get the bunker open at a certain point.
I think Kane's fighter plane jumped the gun,
There's a fighter plane.
or whatever the
you know what he's talking about.
cargo plane
Yeah,
is.
The AC 130.
the AC-130.
Yes.
And oh boy, do I agree. This goes into probably my biggest problem with this whole film.
Oh, hold on, let me explain why.
Yeah. You first.
I think a level of trust wasn't built around the president and the prime minister. He came in, they sat down, and then were warned there's an infiltration, something's going on. We have to get you to the bunker. There wasn't a conversation to even be taking place of something to work on with the prime minister, which goes in with me feeling it's more out of protocol to bring him into the bunker with him, because there's no like peace made or a plan to act upon. If their conversation went through to build trust that, okay, the prime minister's on my side, he's agreeing with my pitches and my points, then when that breaks out and they get word of the AC-130, then it's like, okay, come with me because he knows you're an ally. With no information to go on, he's kind of a stranger. We understand he's an ally to be invited to even have the conversation in the context of the film, but onto the audience, it's a stranger's introduction to us. So it already is
kind
off.
of where. Yeah. I think I agree with everything you said, pretty much. I would say so. Real world, separating the real world from this film. I don't have an issue with the president doing something like that because Seoul is that much of an ally for the United States. But in the context of this film in isolation, I agree. I think that needs to be set up more for the characters within this fictional setting.
And I guess since we're throwing fixes or alternatives, I'd like to throw into the ring of using Dave, where this whole thing's going down, and Dave, being an old employee, could be friend. How they establish it, if they were to do this version, could pretty much whisper into Ben's ear, essentially like, "Hey, this would be good for building relations if we bring him to the bunker." Something along those lines of the president's being informed to take the guy in, because right now Kang is taking it on just hoping the president breaks protocol. But if he used Dave or some other informant to push the president in that way, um, that sounds a lot better. Because right now Kang is like a mastermind. He plans out all these terror attacks that work. No one's even seen his face. There's no photo. This goes down perfectly, except for Banner. So him just leaving it to chance seems out of character for me. So utilizing Dave or another informant to push the president into this decision, I think, is probably one of the appropriate ways to go.
I think I'm in agreement. I guess, where are we on the damage ladder for this? Because there's a lot that rides on this.
Have it as a
That's the
Nick.
whole movie.
We
It
got
is the
the
whole
character
movie.
of the president beforehand, but we don't have anything on Kang.
No, but we do know Kang's character by the end of this to establish what he would have done in this scenario, or would likely do. Not would do, would likely do.
Actually, yeah, I built it to an issue. It's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, I'm teetering issue flaw territory.
you don't
it
even-
is very
Yeah,
important.
you don't have to even show the conversation taking place between the prime minister and the
You just need to
president.
know that
You can just-
conversation did take
Yeah,
place.
they could just be in the midst of like getting up to do a handshake when the president gets the news.
Yeah, to imply that that a conversation
They've had
did
a
take
talk
place,
and they're
you
in
know?
agreement. Yeah.
I think honestly, I think I would prefer seeing a conversation, so explicitly because what happens to the prime minister, because I think that's a shocking death that I think could have been built up to a little bit more if they established the rapport and
Give it more of a character. Yeah.
yeah, give him more of a character, just enough to lull the audience into being a little bit more comfortable with him being around.
I think he had more than the VP.
I would agree. I mean, the VP's best action was agreeing with the Secretary of State. Was that Maria's position?
It's written somewhere. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think she's Madam Secretary. I think that's how they refer to
Yeah.
her. So I think she's Secretary of State. So yeah, I'm in agreement with all of that. I'm also probably at the realm of flaw because this is a very, very heavily writing oriented issue, and the entire story takes place because of this.
Alrighty, Spurrinks.
Yeah, what game do you think Connor was playing?
Uncharted. I don't know which one. 3 maybe?
You think the third one? Okay.
It's not
I
the fourth
couldn't
one.
tell.
I know that.
Well, 2013.
I
I
couldn't
don't know
tell.
which ones were out,
Yeah.
but I am in agreement. I do
It's
think
probably
it was
2 or
Uncharted.
3.
Could have been 1.
Yeah. I don't think 1 looked that good. But I'm not a Sony pony. I've never played an Uncharted game.
Sony
so I don't know.
Pony.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's a name coming out of a Greenblood.
exactly. I know the terminologies.
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago when the console wars began.
And I was there when it died. When
Oh, yeah.
Xbox gave up and put their stuff everywhere.
Hey, they only created a new state of matter.
Yeah, I suppose. When is that going to get mass produced?
I don't know, but it's
Because they only have the
insane.
one chip, right?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think so.
tangent. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Ryder, you can go next.
Okay. Since you brought up the AC-130, Sprinks, not necessarily the context I want to talk about it, but in the context I want to talk about it is, yeah, this is definitely part where the fiction separates from reality quite a bit for me. Being the military autist that I am, I can tell you an unmarked AC-130 is not going to get anywhere near Washington, D.C., explicitly since they're designed potentially to be carrying nuclear weapons. So, because that's again, separating reality from fiction, so I have to buy that this is possible in this world. Was I think a little bit harder for me because they're trying to base as much of this in reality as possible. It's convenient that the F-22s are break protocol to line up on either side of it instead of one like being behind it and one trying to slide up next to it, so I can take out both of them at the same time. Very, very convenient. I would say I have an issue with pretty much the entire AC-130 scene. I think once the ground attack gets into the White House, my issues stop. I have issues with pretty much every part of the action scene up until they're actually in the White House.
Yeah, I did write down in my notes, how the heck did this get this close to the White House before any intervention with the planes?
Is it implied that it took off from Northern Virginia?
Where do you get that to imply? I don't really remember where it came
Well,
from.
the first instance of showing the AC-130 in the air, the lower third overlay states that it's Northern Virginia, but I don't know if that's where it took off from.
Let's see. Now I want to look at the flight range of an AC-130. I think it could have taken off from potentially anywhere between Florida or like lower than that. Let's see.
Oh, anywhere on the East Coast.
Definitely didn't come through Korea. That's
No,
for sure.
did
Not
not.
in one trip.
No, it was probably taken off of U.S. soil. Just don't exactly know where.
An unfueled range of about 3,000 miles. That did not come straight from Korea.
Yeah.
I would say probably there's a couple Merc bases I can see them using in Florida potentially, so they could have gotten it there that way. But again, it's still an unmarked AC-130 gunship coming to DC, So so again, there's just a lot that needed to take place to facilitate this AC-130 shooting down the jets that would have clearly intercepted it long before it shot down. Before it's before they got. Anyway, it's just
What's the range radius to be unidentified in airspace
for DC or just in general?
Because it wasn't until it shot down the jets that it changed course to head to DC. It wasn't a direct flight there.
Yeah, it wasn't a direct flight there, but it was still in range of DC, being an unmarked AC-130. I still think
that's what I'm getting at. It came in at a different angle. Like, it didn't enter. I mean, it did enter the airspace, but it came at an angle or something. So it's like, was it on the outskirts waiting to be unidentified first before turning into DC to take out the jets? Because then again, it's only 2 jets, and that would have scrambled more problems. It would have gone further if it went direct, because then the jets would have given more time as it's getting closer.
The restricted airspace for DC, if I remember, is about 20 miles, where you're physically not allowed to fly a plane above that without like explicit clearances and stuff like that, or you're working directly for Langley and shit like that. There's a lot of specialists that go in there, like the president has a helicopter that can come in and stuff like that, but you're not allowed to. You have special flying rules essentially when you get within that.
So it teased the radius of 20 miles to make a scene before heading there? That's a flaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like I said, I have issues with everything that has to do with the AC-130.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. One minor issue that I take with this is the nitpick.
Well, unless they're just overly confident that they can do it.
Again, I don't know why when you have YF-22s come up next to you. Again, this is on the YF-22 pilots for being stupid, because, again, a lot of things need to be stupid for this to happen. but one plane would have been enough to bring an AC-130 down like properly, because they it's very lucky that both jets flew up to fly side by side with the AC-130 to just immediately get shot down.
Yeah, it's only outfitted with so many flares.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
They
also
all work.
yeah, nitpick, wouldn't be flares, it'd be chaff, but
Shop.
flares look cooler.
Yeah, it does look cooler. All right. Ooh, someone was about to talk.
Well,
Who was
was
it?
I couldn't tell if it's
Go
the I didn't check the credits. I couldn't tell if it's the same actor or a different actor. Is Connor the same kid from the beginning of the movie and then later on? And just like a hat and
Yes.
glasses changed his look.
Yeah, it's the same kid.
Okay.
And I wish I remembered. I looked at a letterbox and saw him, and he's only been in 3 movies. And funny that I don't remember.
Yeah,
They
Olympus
were.
has fallen, London's fallen, Angel's fallen.
No, he's only in this one. At least the actor playing Connor is only in this one. Shoot, and it was recognizable. All right, well, I'll look at that later. Ryder, I guess you can keep going with something else.
Okay. So yeah, I'm in agreement with Sprinks. I think everything that has to do with the AC-130 is pretty much a flaw. Ground attack, I take more issue with honestly the plot armor for the attackers. I do like that they're trying to explain some things, right? Like they have snipers set up to kill first responders. You've got Banning coming in from behind them. They have the suicide bombers that break the fence. Yada yada. I do like the dump truck idea. That's straight out of a fucking video game, by the way.
Well, I thought they were going to be battering rams, and they were actually like, I don't know, turreted
and
turreted ground
protection.
Yeah, barricaded and turreting, which is actually pretty cool. That comes right out of one of an RTS games. I don't remember the name of it, but there's an RTS game where Russia manages to invade the U.S. via like shipping containers, and they take over dump trucks to transport machine guns, etc., etc. It was very fun RTS. So I appreciate the reference ?
It reminds me of something I'd probably see in like Army of Two.
Maybe.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But what I like about that though is it clearly shows that these, they're competent villains somewhat. That being said, definitely like a lot of plot armor, because the Secret Servicemen just offered themselves to be bullet sponges, pretty much.
Yeah, none of them are wearing vests. Like it seems like they're getting shot in the chest or the back, and they're just bleeding.
Yeah. This is definitely, it's not the 60s. Everyone, this is the Secret Services in the modern day. They could walk into their like locker rooms and they would be strapped the fuck up the way Banning is.
Yeah, unless you're
like
selling all
have
these
vests.
SMGs they're firing with, like the Koreans are shooting with, are armor-piercing rounds.
Yeah, and even
the turrets would take them out for sure.
The turret, yes, the turrets would.
The turrets would take them out. My issue is the Secret Service just like it's basic tactics to, once the lawn is taken, it's better to just go into the house and draw them into door-to-door fighting. So like the fact that all of them rush out to die really pissed me off, because this is just makes it convenient for the North Korean commandos to break into the White House. Now, I again, what you do to change this is, one, you up the North Korean commandos from 40 to 60, and then that way they can actually take more casualties for what would happen, which is the Secret Service would lose about half their people outside trying to stop it, and the half the people would draw them inside. Because once they realize the turrets are up, they're like, oh, well, fuck that shit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up the numbers. 40 ground troops, and there was 28 when it was established how many there were. So 12 died during the assaults, and Banning had to have killed a good chunk of that 12 outside, meaning the Secret Service did squat other than die.
Yeah.
They just were
So,
surprised.
again,
Training
that's
out the window.
here's what I have to say. Weak sauce. That is weak sauce.
Ooh, that is weak sauce.
Very weak sauce. And
Yeah.
But
so,
the
so
RPG exploding the like gate, I don't know what they call it, the little
The door.
gazebo.
deck board.
Yeah. And the shockwave breaking all the car windows. That was a really cool detail.
Yeah, I actually quite like that. Doesn't make much sense considering it's supposed to be bulletproof glass in Secret Service cars, but I'll take it.
And something, because I do think is the assault on the White House is pretty cool. Something that is, I think, a pretty big oversight is that there's no snipers at this point. The White House is surrounded by snipers at all times. It's not just anybody that's on the grounds of the White House. It's the surrounding area of the White House too.
Yeah.
And they don't acknowledge that in this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, what you do, right, is you have the North Koreans are established to have snipers taking out first responders. They would target the U.S. snipers first. Just cover your grounds.
Yeah. Like when the guy blows himself up to open the fence, we could have shots of other, like the snipers on the roofs getting shot at while that's happening, because they would have seen that guy just like.
Well, they told you it takes 15-minute
what
respawn
Banner
time,
does. Well, for the military,
and that's the
you'd
sniper
have
unit.
Secret Service snipers.
Yeah.
No.
There's
The
a
White House
default
is
sniper unit.
Well,
yeah.
we
White House
don't
has
see
default sniper units. We do actually. We see
Oh,
them on
they
the
did
roof.
have them. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, that's after it's been captured. We see those.
We see the White House sniper group on the roof.
On the roof of the White House. I'm talking about from the neighboring buildings, the outside of the White House,
Oh.
because there are snipers outside the White House premises
Yes.
in real life. But
In real life,
guess
I
they're
don't
not
remember them
established
being in the
in those.
movie. Yeah.
no,
I would
not
say,
the military. But that's not the outfitted sniper team.
Yeah. What was another thing I had with this? Yeah. So anyway, I have pretty much the entire attack sequence right up until like once the commandos are in the White House. I actually like the rest of the film going forward as far as the action sequences go because it feels less
Exaggerated.
exaggerated. Yeah. I would say it still looks cool though. I'm in agreement with you, Crimson. I think the ground assault it does still look cool. Like you can see the North Korean commandos. They body up in formation, so that way, like if the one person gets shot in front of them, the next person can grab them and use them as a bullet sponge. Still, there's also bits where like the Secret Servicemen are like shooting over the bodies of their comrades, which is like again good tiny bits of tactical shit trying to gain their advantages where they can and in a sort of brutal warfare kind of way. Also, it bothers the fuck out of me too. The Secret Service again have updated weapons as well. They would not be rugging around like the 60s with SMGs. They have actual rifles and
Heavier duty stuff.
yeah. Again, so it's I think the ground attack stuff overall here for me is probably an issue. I wouldn't go as far as say it's a flaw because I can buy that in this fictional world that for the most part a lot of this happens, but that doesn't negate all the conveniences like where the Secret Servicemen just turn their brains off and rush outside when they know they're getting their asses kicked.
What did you guys refer to the Secret Service director as? The Lynn Jacobs? What was the name you guys went with?
Lynn.
Or Director Lynn?
Lynn.
Yeah, I just called the director Lynn. I called her
Right.
Director or Lynn.
So during, I guess, the cafe diner scene, whatever, with her, it is established that Banner badmouthed the
Banning.
Speaker of the House at some point.
You said banner a couple times. It's banning.
Banning. Sorry. The Banning has badmouthed the Speaker of the House before. And I thought that was going to be like an established thing where they butt heads through the movie, and it doesn't really feel like that's a thing. He butts heads with the general a lot.
I was
Secret, not really.
expecting a payoff to that when they meet again face to face, and because maybe obviously the Speaker of the House doesn't recognize Banning's voice, but when he sees him in person to like thank everybody he's done, I was like, huh, you told me to go fuck myself. Like that could have been a nice joke to end on, kind of in a like they overcame their differences without knowing or ever seeing each other face to face.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
a
what I
fun
thought it
little
was gonna
payoff.
do when they weren't butting heads over the comm, but again, that it's mentioned, it just dropped.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing to establish that there's possibly friction between these two characters, and then through the movie, there's no friction.
Yeah, again, that's my takeaway with it as well. Again, it could speak to the professionalism in them both that they don't, but again, it would be nice to acknowledge it in some form or fashion, so that way it doesn't feel like it's wasted dialogue.
Thoughts on that, Springs?
Is Banning still working for Lynn, or are they just like just acquaintances now?
He's still a Secret Service member. He's just reassigned to the Treasury, so he's still under her.
Okay, then yeah, that is. Then I agree. That is different if nothing's changed in their relationship.
Yeah. And with that, feel free to jump somewhere else, Springs.
Well, I did keep. I mean, every time Lynn was on screen, I just kept thinking of Fallout, where she goes, "That's the job." I just kept popping in my head every time. But the White House is outfitted with anti-air Hydra turrets. How come the AC-130 is able to circle around the White House without it firing a shot?
Okay, so
Hydra's
again, this is
different.
they have the anti-air missile shot. They have the anti-air missile shots. One that they don't have enough chaff for the amount of ammunition the White House can throw out. Two, the Hydra is supposed to be a prototype that somehow Kang got his hands on, that they put on the house, and I have issues with that scene too when we get there. But
Well, they hack into it later
Yes.
when they're in the bunker.
no.
No, they brought in the Hydra.
They brought in the Hydra and assembled it. That's kind of what we're supposed to gather from all the gear and stuff that they bring in, because they show the commandos bringing in the boxes with that gear, show it being built, and then it shows them deploying it.
Okay, then Hydra's not what I'm thinking.
No, you're talking about the anti-air missile launcher on
Yes.
the roof.
Yeah.
Which is a different thing. But also, yeah, this
Yeah, I
plane
agree.
just has the most plot armor of any like air vehicle I've seen in a movie, I think.
It
It's
takes
pretty
down two FYF-22s and almost survives a third with with flares, at least a missile strike with flares. It's right because it survives the missile strikes from the White House too. And it has to be
9/11's the
said
Washington
also.
Monument.
Yeah, it also has to be said that Capitol Hill also would be equipped with anti-air missiles. So it's why is it only the White House that's firing anti-air missiles into the air?
But it's not. That's
It's not
what I'm
established.
asking. They weren't hacked into it yet. They didn't have, unless this is Forbes, that's not explained.
I'm confused
Yeah.
on your point now.
The anti-air that comes up on top of the White House when the AC-130 is
Yeah.
circling the White House, it's not firing.
It fires 2 shots and then it's done. So it does fire, but it only fires 2 shots. When we see that it's equipped with at least 6.
Yeah, I mean the only thing going for that is the incredibly accurate plane guns down everybody on the roof, but I think that missile launcher is probably remote access from within the building, right? Not actually
not
manned.
Yeah,
Man,
it's not actually
no.
controlled up there.
So-
Yeah.
Even then, that excuse wouldn't work. But it did bug me how every single Secret Service guy on the roof got gunned down so accurately with that weapon.
They're using fucking miniguns. I'm like, they're not known for accuracy, to be honest with you.
Mm-mm. So I guess to go with what you're saying, Sprinks, I don't think it got hacked. I don't think it got taken out, I think they just stopped using it because it would be too unbelievable that this
Cool.
plane keeps dodging missiles.
That's a problem. Top
Yeah,
of my
no,
damn
good.
fire.
Agree. Shockingly enough, it's an AC-130. And the whole AC-130 stuff is a flaw for me. This in isolation is a problem. Yes.
I probably have it as an issue because I mean the plane gets shot down anyways, and it doesn't really change if it got shot down at this point because the ground forces is already en route and
Well,
active.
I mean, all those people on the roof would still be alive for the ground assault. It kind of does change a bit.
There's no
It does
explanation.
definitely feed into that.
No explanation said or shown why it stops firing.
No, the movie just forgot about it or intentionally stopped doing it because of how absurd it would have been.
Makes no sense that it stopped because then they assembled the Hydra, which is another turret on top of the White House.
Yeah.
And that one's taking down chopper after chopper. So
Not to mention the choppers that don't shoot or do squat.
no, they're just on surveillance.
Let me get to that.
Just on surveillance.
Not to mention that they knew it was there, and this brilliant general decided, "I'm not changing the plan at all." Just,
Well, we'll get to this freaking general later.
Yeah.
At a 2543, there's no more gunfire in the area of the AC-130 shooting down its turrets. A car just explodes. Just like a Michael Bay explosion just to make the environment look cool.
Oh, the bus?
Not the bus. The bus is used as a distraction
Car.
later, which is
Yeah.
explained by the suicide bombers, kind of like they planted that for panic. But there's just a car explosion earlier when Mike is like kind of getting to the White House and running. There's no bullets. It's not a car exploding from impact. It just explodes on its own.
I mean, I don't have too much. I mean, I don't remember the specific car well enough to. Was it damaged before it blew up and it just eventually blew up?
No, I don't think so. There's no engine fire. There's no gasoline pouring out. It's just the fire. The AC-130 is flown off. There's dead people on the ground. Mike is trying to get to the White House, and they're like, well, in my head, I'm like, oh, well, they can't really just have Mike doing a running scene to music, I guess, even though he had a scene where he walked through security and they had this very intense patriotic music to it, so he's just walking. But they're like, we gotta make something cool, and the bullets are gone. It's like, is it too crazy if the bullet, ricochet like that far away? Yeah, let's just make a car explode, and a car just explodes.
I'll take your word for it since I don't remember that detailed. So,
Yeah, I'm like, we all remember the bus explosion because it's a purpose distraction
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
like things to go along. The car explosion, nothing.
other than just chaos, I guess, but no establishment of how the chaos got started with that car.
Yeah.
All righter.
Ooh, where to jump to next? This is more of a funny thing for me that wasn't I don't think it's I think it's I don't know if it's a problem with the film or anything like that or any issue with it or nitpick or what the fuck ever. But it was funny for me watching people on the street aim their guns up at an AC-130 like it was Call of Duty and try to shoot it.
Yeah. But hey,
It was-
at least it's showing they're trying. So I'll
They
give them
see
that
it.
much.
They acknowledge it's there.
It's such a video game moment. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Maybe we should just take cover until the White House's anti-air missiles take it out.
Oh shoot, my secondary is a pistol. Oh, I didn't outcut my loadout.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey kid, hand me your water gun. I'm out of ammo. Something. Yeah, it's a little amusing. Something that's not very amusing, and I almost like rolled my eyes at it, was just how they captured the bunker. We've seen a lot of incompetency through this engagement, but the bunker room is so bad.
Crimson, they had the element of surprise.
They did, and the first couple guys I can give to them, but the ones running around through the hallways and stuff, just getting gunned down, they're just pathetic.
Oh, hold the door! Gets killed immediately.
They're so bad. But I did like Dave's like knife headshot thing that he did. I actually like a lot of the head stabs. There's like 3 head stabs in this movie, and a lot of throat grabbing, which I'm sure we'll get to those. His signature move.
There's a lot of throat grabbing.
Kang does the throat grab like 4 times in this movie.
Yeah.
It's his signature move.
Well, he does like his first one is just like gun to the face of the president, and he just like holds him there, and then he just leans in and grabs him, just for like intensity.
And then he did it to the Madam Secretary, and then he did it to Banning, and I thought there was another one, but maybe not. But yeah, that's his thing. I don't know why.
I don't know what this movie. I don't think it's. Never mind. It's not this act. Sorry, I'll hold it.
All right, just remember to cover it when you can.
But what I can share is Mike is just as visible and just as unguarded as any other Secret Service member out there on the field or by the White House, and he is unscathed walking in.
Especially when he takes out the suicide bomber, you think, given how competent these commandos are shown to be, one of them would have been smart enough to turn to the body and tap them, especially since we see them go around making sure people were dead by shooting them in the head. I feel like that's something they would check on.
Right. His advantage is he's behind the ground units. His disadvantage is he's in line of sight of the turrets.
No, yeah, when he's taking
they're
cover,
not seeing the guy gunning their men.
No, and they see the RPG take open the door, and he's telling the other guys get inside, and they get mowed down and died.
Well, I mean, before him like getting in behind them. I mean, the part where he tries to kill the suicide bomber, and the second one goes off. All the Korean commandos that are sitting there saw him do that. I feel like they would have at least tapped him with a bullet or two, since he's recovering from the.
Yeah, I don't understand why Mike isn't being shot at.
Plot armor. That is why.
Because he doesn't even have body armor at this point.
No,
I know.
He's just him.
It's pure luck that he survives a lot of this. Once we get into the White House, I think the movie starts to improve substantially.
Right. How's Act 1 looking, guys? What?
I can give you one more if need be.
I will skim, gentlemen.
Okay. Well, Sprinks, you can go while he's skimming.
All right. Something I found interesting. This movie does a lot of lower thirds, a lot of overlays. And it likes to, I guess, with consistency, every character introduction to give you the character's name and kind of their position. Is it too much to give a character's name when the given sentence following right after is the said name?
I think it's okay once they establish that most of these people are getting character title introductions. They don't do it in the very beginning. I think Lynn was the first one to get a introduction title, but past her, everyone else did. My concern with it was how fast they were. Like introducing the general and the guy before him. I don't know where that is in my notes, but they're back to back, and it's so quick. I had to go back just to pause it so I could write down the stuff. They're very, very quick. So I guess that's my answer. I feel like it'd be inconsistent if we had two character introductions, one not because they say it, and then 2 more after. That would kind of just be like, well, might as well just do the one guy as well.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I think so.
And I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Ryder.
I do not.
All right, then anything of your own that you want to throw out?
Yeah, skimming through. Another moment I like is the president wanting to sneak away with his son to get ice cream before he has to do, the meeting with the Seoul's prime minister.
That was nice.
Nice little father-son bonding before everything goes to shit. And also we get to see him, we get to know for a fact that Connor and him are separated, so it's the last place Connor is seen.
True,
Until
and
Banning finds
the
him.
events of the First Lady passing away 18 months ago has not necessarily affected the relationship between the two.
I mean, it's affected them, but they
Yeah, but
they
it's
seem
not
to
like,
be, you know.
President's not secretly drinking. He goes, "You look just like your
Yeah,
mother," or something. Like, you don't have
they
that.
have a good relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do appreciate that their relationship is still positive because a lot of writers tend to like if there's a death in the family, it tends to strain the relationship remaining, and I get why writers do that, but it's nice to see the flip side of that, where a tragedy can just draw people together. It looks like it did that for the two of them, which I like.
And as well in this scene, they talk about going back to Camp David for a vacation or something, and they want to go to the beach instead. I think it didn't feel forced, even though kind of technically it is, but it felt natural, and I like that it's brought up and Connor's thoughts on it and everything.
Do you think
Yeah.
it's an
Like they
interesting
talk.
parallel that Connor's idea for vacation is the beach, much like Leah's idea for like a vacation with Mike is the beach?
It's an interesting parallel, I suppose. I
I
don't see
mean,
much connection between them.
Mike is another father figure. Sure,
I
I
didn't
could
know
see
if
that.
beach is some kind of metaphor or connection to something, being that it's used in both. It's written in for both.
Nothing comes to mind to me of what it could be.
Okay.
All right. Sprinks, you said you were out, right?
Yeah. I'm good.
All right. Ryder, did you find more, or are you tapped out as well?
Yeah, I'm double checking the X real quick. Okay. Uh, did we have is so we have them taking over the bunker in this act, right? Kang's group, like to
Yeah.
betray the president in
Yeah,
this act.
pretty much
Okay.
right at the end here.
Okay. Yeah. My last note is pretty much I like that Korean prime. I like that the Seoul prime minister is actually also a hostage. I would have taken a lot more issues with the film if they were also a traitor in a plant.
Well, yeah, but it wouldn't make much sense if
Yeah, so
the
I
South
like
Korean
that.
guy was in on the North Korean plans.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of appreciate they still distinguish that, and you see him taken as a hostage in the background during the scene.
Yes. Yeah. So glad there's no weird twist with that, because that I would probably find some damage if that was the case.
Yeah, since we have been like we have a lot of issues with the attack on the White House. I will say the one thing that I do like is that I do like there's layers to the attack in progress. You have the dump trucks, you have the gas masks, you have the suicide bombers breaking the fence, and as many problems as they do have with the AC-130. At least that I like that all is an integrated attack because it does build into Kang's intelligence, even if it has a lot of conveniences attached to it.
Yeah, it all worked out for him, whether or not it should have or not.
Yeah. But again, the layers to the attack, I think that helps build at least the appearance of the competent enemy.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it just makes it more engaging, I think, for an action film to have layers of combat styles and strategies. Right. Going into Act Two, which is from Banning entering the White House to when Kang gets ID'd by the crisis room. He's on the top terrorist list. That scene.
We've never seen
And
his face.
never seen it. So I think I started Sprinks on Act One. So writer, you can start Act Two.
All right. I like when they finally phone into the crisis room for Lin and everybody else. The first thing that Kang does is shoot the prime minister to send a message that they're going and willing to kill, because I think that's a very very strong opening move, shall we say, for these quick negotiations.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was good because that guy didn't really have any place in the plan other than he's a big guy on the enemy, being the South Korean side. So makes all the sense in the world to do what he did with him.
Mhm.
Sprinks you can add on, or just go on to something else.
No, I agree that it's a good starting for the villain of like, a ruthless act to show how brutal and strict to the point they are. To not necessarily be joking around, which is interesting to my point that I just found it so comical, I guess in hindsight, like looking back on it fully now, when Kane just takes the glasses off. Like he takes off his glasses and he never needs glasses for the rest of the movie.
I guess that is kind of amusing to think. It's just part of his cover.
Yeah,
as
Like Clark Kent
bodyguard.
glasses, like
Yeah, exactly. Clark Kent glasses, obviously.
yeah, but that's such
I
a
was gonna make the
goofy
joke.
thing to have in this movie that's supposed to be serious.
I mean, like you said, it could be playing into the character. He does a good job of like being hunched over, like leaning forward a little bit. So he's playing. He's body acting as a different person until the glasses come off. So I do appreciate that, but as you said, it's comical in the sense like it does feel a bit comic booky.
Yeah. I don't know. It just maybe a little too silly for me in this movie.
And they do a couple jokes throughout. Not that that's a joke, but the tone isn't completely a serious movie.
I find.
So
You first.
I'll go. So Banning has access to some of the security systems still, which I find to be not realistic.
Yeah.
We don't have a time frame of how long he's been reassigned to the Treasury, but they regularly change passwords and stuff at the White House for maximum security purposes. He's able to lock out the hacker lady by using a security override. He still has the combination to the safe in the president in the Oval Office, which that one part doesn't get changed that often, but the security override one.
Yeah, the safe one I'm fine with. I do think his ID still being in the system at all to security override everything. I do think that's a bit much.
I suppose so.
You know what would have been really gruesome is if he actually cut the thumb off of one of his dead comrades to do it.
Well, maybe not cut him off, but like just drag him over. And that would have been a funny joke. Thank you for your service as he enters the room.
I don't know if that would be a well-placed joke.
I don't think that'd be a well-placed joke, but it would be kind of brutal. Like you could see him like having to stomach doing this to shut off the override, like with his dead compatriot. Like that would have been something.
I don't know if he'd cut a thumb off though.
That's an
that seems more Inglourious Bastard type. Yeah.
He's more. I agree. He's more likely to drag a body over. But again, it would still be interesting to see that scene because I think that solves the security override stuff as far as I'm concerned. Is if it's like biometrically sealed or whatever.
Yeah, that could help.
Yeah, he's still
Pocket a
Secret
card off
Service.
someone.
He's just not assigned to the White House, which is kind of my thing. He's just not assigned there.
But he was assigned there
the suggestion.
at a point in his life, which helps him know all the info.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't have any issues with him knowing how everything operates, where the cameras are, the vents, secret walls, all that stuff.
A detail
what
I really like about Mike that a lot of movies just like overskip it, don't care about kind of thing, is when Mike is looting one of the dead Secret Service members and he takes the gun, he also takes the backup magazines to have on him. I just think that's such a good detail, so it's not like that infinite bullet thing that happens in movies all the time, where they like, oh, I just fired 20 bullets in a handgun, now I'm going to reload. Don't know where the other reload clip came from, but...
I agree.
And I'm like,
because
that's great. It shows...
also was a detail I really loved.
Well, and when he entered the White House and he's up on the stairs, you can see his gun is empty.
Yeah.
As he like looks down at it. So yeah, it is cool that they are acknowledging all that stuff. Minus a missile launcher with only 2 missiles when it should have more.
Well, that's
like I said,
Look,
once they get
if
in
Mike
the
was
warehouse,
operating that, if Mike was in charge of that thing, it'd be outfitted.
If Mike was in charge of this thing, I don't think any of the secret. As soon as like the lawn was taken, he'd be like, "All right, everybody, set up. We're going for hall defense. Throw down lockers. Anything that we could use as cover. They're gonna take this place like room by room. They're gonna have to go door to door, and they're gonna lose a lot." I don't think they're making that into the White House foyer, pretty much.
Is it?
Oh yeah, and he would have stuck to protocol.
Is it on anyone's damage ladder that the first thing the president says when getting to the bunker is "Find Connor," like "Find my son," and no one does it?
Well, I mean, we kind of
don't-
cut away. Like he
I know,
says it
but we
to a
don't see
lady.
anyone looking for Connor and getting shot.
Well, everyone's dead, so
At that point, yeah.
There's
I
only
think
four
he
Secret
says
Service
it
members
twice,
left.
right? He says it twice. There's the first time where they're about to go down into the bunker. One of the security officers runs off. I assume he just dies with the rest. In the bunker, I think we cut away. So I think it's okay.
Okay.
It's not on my damage ladder. What is that only Banning seems to know Connor's hiding place and nobody else.
Forbes should have known.
I mean,
Forbes
it
should have
should just
known.
be common for the service members to know where the president's kid can be.
True, but
a
they're
fun hiding
dead.
spot.
And I would say even Kang should know because Kang is clearly well informed. It's like, when was it? During the Truman era, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well,
So I
he
like
said,
that
like,
Kang is.
94 or 92, like a remodel or something.
Yeah, I think I do think that I feel like Kang would have. Again, it's hard to track. If it was like an hour and they had only just finished searching the interior of the White House, I think like they wouldn't necessarily jump right into trying to go like in between the walls of the White House to try and find Connor. So there's levels of that. Maybe Kang does know about them, but doesn't realize that that's where Connor is immediately. I feel like that's an angle the film could play, but it kind of doesn't.
Yeah, I'm
And
less
it
concerned
doesn't.
about Kang knowing and more just the Secret Service not getting Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be my main thing.
Also,
Kang is smart and knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything.
true. Also, Connor's reveal of being found, I think, is a little lackluster. He's just on screen.
I'm okay with how he was found. I was more like watered down with how quickly Connor's out of the movie. I thought he was going to be this big like leverage point or some contention, but once he's at the vent, he's done. Out of the movie, it's over. I mean, he's there at the end to see his dad, but I mean relevant.
I think that's okay.
I think that's okay for me as well. I do wish there was more of him, but I'm glad that they succeed in getting him out. I think at this point in the film, you need some relief because it has just been nothing but dread, and you need that in your ebb and flow of tension on your script writing.
And it shows how competent Mike is. He's not like getting stuck somewhere and Connor gets captured. Then he has to go find Connor again, and then there's a choice to be made, and like you don't have that.
It doesn't turn into like an escort mission.
Yeah. Though I did find it funny when he goes like, Connor, hold up, and then he breaks the neck off of someone. He goes, false alarm, you're good.
Yeah.
It's a little funny because Connor absolutely would have heard the struggle, but it is definitely funny.
Not to mention walking by all the dead bodies on the way to the vent. Anyways, he's already traumatized, I'm sure.
They're sleeping.
I would say also then as far as the necessity of the scene goes, or at least Connor getting out of the film, I like that that was likely Kang's plan for the president when it comes to Cerberus. Obviously, they have the backup of like, oh, I could just break the other two, and because you need to break. But I do like that was initially Kang's plan, and then he's deprived of that. You can sort of see him twitch a little bit at Mike mentioning that Connor got out of the house. So there is a little bit there that I like in the back and forth that comes later on.
Yes, but then Kane's backup is talking to Mike saying, okay, well, Connor's gone, but what about, your wife, Leia? which is like the now leverage onto Mike is going to be Leia, and nothing comes of that.
I honestly, I didn't read that as leverage. I read that it's just getting under his skin. Like he's trying to get Mike riled up to make a mistake.
Oh, I saw that as like the
And it
next
is
target
potential leverage
for them.
Why
Yeah,
wouldn't
It
he
is
use it?
potential leverage.
they know of
I
her,
don't
which
deny
means
that.
they know what she looks like. Can probably easily
It comes
find her.
across. It comes across to me that one. Well, they're not going to get out of the White House. They don't have enough people for that.
Not
or
the
the
ones in
time.
the White House, the ones outside of it.
All the ones outside the White House were killed, as far as I understand.
Yeah, you don't think there's any other operators outside this mission?
I
run?
mean, there should be.
I
but
think
the
there
film
could
makes
be.
that not clear at all.
With the lady who drove up in her car and pulled out a sniper, who just drove up, made me think there's other
Oh
you
yeah.
know, people out there working for him.
Well, she died, so we can't use her.
I know, but I'm saying that told me it's not just the people who were already there for the meeting.
If there were more, the film should have established it. So I can't say that is an excuse for them not using Leia as leverage. With the way that film was filmed, from how I guess I interpreted it, it felt like Forbes told Kang all this information, and like because Forbes asked him, or because Kang asked him who he was. So then Forbes informed him of all this information.
It's definitely to get under Mike's skin. I just feel like Kang's the type of guy that would actually use her, not just verbally use her.
I mean, I agree, but I don't have enough to. The film didn't give me the other assets that Kang had that he would try to use, so I don't have an issue with that as far as the film goes. If we were shown that Kang had other assets beyond what is shown explicitly in the film, as it stands, so like we see right that they obviously the lady pulls up with a sniper, but she obviously gets killed by Banning. If we see more of them, but we see them drive off to try and blend in with the retreating crowd, then I'm like, okay, he's got agents out there. Then Leia can become leverage.
You want them established prior.
They need to be established prior.
You need them to be established prior.
At this point, yes.
Okay.
Given that the entire film was centered that all of them are now in the White House, that would need to be established. Because you have to remember, they learn the total number of commandos involved.
Yes.
So, like, if they're going around and, like, at the end of it, after Kang's dead, he'd be like, that was only, like, I don't know, 30-something, right? That was, like, 38. Where are the others? That sort of thing. That could come back as something they could use to establish that there were others out in the field, that Kang was trying to get Leia or something like that. So it's not impossible, but the film needs to establish more for me to buy into that's would be something Kang would do. Because as far as I understand, within the context of this film, he doesn't have the option or access for that.
And I can agree with that the film needs to establish that there's other people outside of the White House. One thing that I cannot excuse away is Mike not telling anybody to save her. Because to him, it is a threat that could be utilized.
Yeah, Kane knows who she is.
He doesn't tell anybody, hey, can you get my girlfriend, wife, whatever, out of the hospital? She just got threatened.
Yeah,
that doesn't
would
happen.
be easy. That would be an easy fix. He gets off the radio, then checks back in with security. He's like, "Hey, Lynn, I need you to do me a favor. They just threatened my wife. They know who I am. Can you send like 2 agents over to protect her, or an entire team? Take a pick." Yeah, easy fix. I agree with that.
He never does that. In fact, the time he does call her, he doesn't do anything with it. It's just
doesn't warn her.
I'm alive.
Just like
is that scene in this act, or is that the next one?
I think that's in the third one.
Okay, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. And with all that, Springs, do you have any more to say? Because I know you're kind of batting on the subject.
I don't think it's needed as much as you say. I do think it's definitely wanted to know that there's more out there if they were to go that angle. because I think the suicide bombers and the lady pulling up with the sniper showed me that there are other people around working on this, or who are part of Kane's plan, and not a part of the entourage who arrived with Kane. So they're still out there somewhere. But I don't know if that's all of them, and they like 100% all attacked, or there's still like a party somewhere getting information or what have you. That's not shown.
Yeah, like I said, if there's an outside party, it would be easy to establish. One of the things I also, this might be just be the way I read the film Springs, but the tour group that's in front of the White House, that's all the commandos, they came from the bus that exploded.
Okay. That could line up. Explains why there's not, just an empty bus.
Yeah. So like that's why most of them are all crowded together. Like I said, the exceptions being the snipers that pulled up. I think they're the only. They were shown to be the only exception.
True, but we don't.
That's
we also don't know if the suicide bombers are the ones who drove the bus.
That's true, but they came there with the tour group, as far as I'm
Yes.
concerned, because they were all in the same area. But it was just a nice detail that they were all in the same quote unquote tour group. See, this wouldn't have happened if Stanley Tucci was running the airport.
No, wouldn't.
You would have stuck with protocols until the end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reason I bring it up because there's that scene, right, where in the beginning where Stanley Tucci spots all like the fake tour group.
Yes.
Audience, in case you're curious, we're talking about Terminal.
Yeah.
Check out our coverage fairly recently.
Yeah, it's from the Tom Hanks season.
I say fairly recently. That was like a month ago,
Fairly recent.
I suppose. A detail I really like is that the guy who comes into the Oval Office to like just search around of like Kane's guy, Mike makes sure that he gets the gun out of his hand to not fire a gun. So he takes him out kind of silently to not draw attention.
Yes.
And then the guy gets busted.
Busted.
Yes.
Yeah.
He uses the link.
Took a second, but yes.
Yes, it was a joke. I guess it fell flat.
But
like the guy. Yeah.
Another one.
Oh,
Keep it rolling. But yeah, no, I think it's for Banning's first hand-to-hand proper combat scene. I think that went really well. Like it was a pretty well choreographed. It felt very tactical, getting the gun away and then drawing it into fisticuffs. And he also gets a picture of like the tattoo, which helps with Langley later on to help identify the group that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
I think they do a pretty decent job of making Mike not John Wick. He feels like a man. He feels like he can take damage. He gets hurt. He's not just breezing through all these guys, even though there are a couple moments where he does just breeze through them. But in large, he does feel like a highly skilled person.
Yeah. He's not a fictional character that has a bulletproof suit.
Yeah. Shots fired at Wick.
Shots fired at every
They
Wick
bounced
one.
off.
Okay, I like Wick, John Wick 1. Okay.
And I think a lot of the bad guys in this feel pretty competent.
Yeah,
as well.
like I said, they do a very good job. Despite all the flaws of the attack, I do actually like how competent the bad guys feels and intimidating too. Because I do think, I think it's the very uneasy like angle that we have with the president's like zip tied to the bar, the railing, and then we got like the kind of tilt of the camera with Kang standing over the Madam Secretary, like before he starts like beating her up to torture her, essentially. I do like that. I don't know if that's this act, but the camera angle of that is really good, and probably my favorite shot of the film because it just really builds into like the intimidation of Kang's character.
Yeah, that's pretty much the start of the next act. But Ruth was taking it like a champ.
Kind of. Willing to die.
Yeah.
I mean, the president gave up before she did. So
Yeah, I'm like, she got kicked kind of twice and was like bleeding out.
Was anyone else irritated with the president just giving up 2 codes like that?
Absolutely. Especially,
Um,
okay,
not
you
the
first,
first
Vince.
one. Being that the knife was in his neck, drawing blood, the only way to save his life was to give the first code. I'm okay with that, to save his life. If Kane got the code and then slit his throat, that shows no matter what, he's going to kill. But he actually spared the life. So I think that's an aid on to Ruth of like, he knows from the first one, if he says to give the code, it will spare Ruth's life. So that leverage is already on his mind. But I don't think Ruth was at that breaking point yet to say it. Or for the
And
president to say it.
It's right after a speech of America doesn't give in to terrorists, and then he gives in to the terrorists.
Well, his whole thing is like, they'll never get mine.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I get the confidence, but it's also very narrow-minded. Because he can see the hacker lady where they're inputting the codes and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the whole "what are you doing?" I'm like, seriously, you didn't pick up on the fact that she's been doing this the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, given what Cerberus is, okay. Let me start from where I'm like, I I don't buy this redundant system at all because there's two things with a nuclear weapon. There's the arming of the nuclear weapon, and then there's the disarming of the nuclear weapon. And this is supposed to be disarm them, not necessarily detonate them. Because if they shut down a nuke and it detonates in midair, it accomplishes nothing. It still permanently irradiates the area, which is still going to kill thousands and thousands of people. So I feel like code is pointless, kind of. I don't know why it exists with the way it's established in the film that shutting them all off at once is going to detonate them in their silos. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. The time it would make sense for me is like if they shoot it overseas towards something, and then they're like, "Oh, abort, abort," and it blows up over the ocean or something. Like there is ways where detonating midair makes some degree of sense.
Right, but that's where I'm saying there's a redundancy in nukes typically where you can disarm the nuke before you shut it off. Granted, I don't think Kang would do that, but I feel like I don't know. It's one of my issues with Cerberus. It's not a big issue. It's just I think if I'm going to put it on the damage ladder, it's probably a nitpick or a nick for me. That they would have to overcome a few more redundancies. Because I like that the Pentagon already changed the nuclear codes. Thumbs up, makes sense, logical for the Pentagon to do. But I think that they just need to come up with a few more redundancies to get past for the Cerberus code to make sense.
And I do appreciate how solid the security for this is, though. Like 3 passwords to 3 high up people, and can only be reset from the White House, the most secure building ever. Didn't really work out in this. All of them ended up in the same room together in the one place. But it makes sense. It's a pretty good security system. I don't know if you got anything to add, Sprinks.
So, if the silos were open, the Cerberus Act is to attack other missiles to stop nuclear warfare, right?
No, the Cerberus was to, if all the nuclear weapons were launched, the nukes were in the air, they were going to hit, but they changed their minds. Let's say the other side called off the attack, they called off their attack, whatever. Cerberus is supposed to detonate all nukes in the air. Don't worry, that still kills the Earth. But that's the plan with Cerberus.
Okay, it's just detonation.
It's detonation. So, I again still kills the Earth with radiation, just not nuclear fire. But
Okay.
Now, a question. See, one of my things with Kang is he knows a lot, and I feel like we need to know how he knows some stuff. How does he know about Cerberus? How does he get his hands on the Hydra? That stuff's not really established, other than he's a smart guy. That's
Cerberus,
always.
I don't need an explanation. I can infer that was Forbes. I don't know
How does
about.
Forbes know it,
Oh,
but not
actually, you know what? No, no.
Mike?
Sorry. I just remembered that Mike doesn't know it. So never mind. That's an issue.
Yeah, so I think we do need to learn a little bit about Kang's resources and how he managed to get stuff.
Yeah. He just knows things.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm less angry with the Hydra, but Kang would not know about Cerberus until he was in the room, pretty much. Because I actually have this in my notes. I have a long thing where I talked about how if Banning doesn't know about Cerberus, then there's no way Forbes knows about Cerberus. So how does Kang get this information? Because if Banning knew about Cerberus, just went, oh shit, then it would have been I could infer Kang at least learned about Cerberus from Forbes. Like, oh, some people in the Secret Service know about it, you know. But I don't have that because the film demonstrates that Mike doesn't know it. So I definitely view that as a plot hole / character issue for Kang.
Sprinks, you were going to jump in there? I
yeah,
think?
no. I answered my own thing in my head. I just thought, like, does General Clegg know what Cerberus does?
Yeah.
So, okay.
So it's not amazing. And I probably, let's see, it is pretty relevant. I mean, it's the whole point of the movie.
It's a flaw.
I'm leaning
it's
flaw.
unexplained.
Yeah.
Unexplained.
Yeah, I'm also going to lean towards flaw explicitly because the one avenue where we could also because of the one avenue where we could infer how he would know about Cerberus, they actually closed that. They actually make it worse.
Yeah. The motivation of Kang of, I guess, opening up South Korea for an offensive attack by removing the 7th Fleet and all the U.S. troops on the, was it 83rd parallel? I forgot what the latitude is.
It's the 83rd parallel. It's the
Okay, it's
border
the
between
83rd.
North Korea and
Okay.
South Korea. That's
Yeah.
the
The no crossing zone. I think it's a decent plan, or it's a good motivation, good plan considering everything fell apart from the Secret Service's horrible training. Um, Something that I don't think. Well, was he an agent of North Korea or is he an independent? They said it was paramilitary, but they didn't establish.
I think overall it's
connections.
independent because they have a line or something that said that neither Korea's in on it, like North or South, but then the fleet leaving enacts North and South to attack. But it doesn't sound
so
like he's a part of either of them.
he does. There's this. I forget what he says explicitly, but he's like, "Yes, I'm." Uh, so he was from the North Korean parallel. He's from that side. He was doing his own thing independently, but North Korea brought him in as a consultant for their strike team because he was really good at what he did. So it feels like the North Koreans hired him. I think that's the context we're supposed to go with. So he's North Korean. He was just an independent terrorist, but he was so good at his job that North Korea just hired him to be in their commando corps for this mission.
Interesting. I don't think I got that info.
Yeah, it's mostly I'm drawing from the line of because I think there's a line where the president asks him who he is. He explains like he's like, are you from the north? And he explains yes that I am. So we're supposed to draw that it's a sense of loyalty maybe that he's doing the job, but it feels like it was a job he was brought back in for. So that would be another little confusing thing with Kang. I don't know if he was independent fully before this, or if he was always working for the North Korea government. But you can kind of infer either way, I think.
I don't think they draw any hard lines. I'm personally leaning independent because of the whole paramilitary stuff he got during the interrogation scene with Mike. But they could be hired out by North Korea. So, and I think it's okay with it being ambiguous. I don't think there's an objective issue or anything with that.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't
think
have
so.
I don't have an issue with that. Yeah, that's a personal want because I aside from some like 2 scenes where he has really bad ADR, I do think Kang's a really good character.
I was trying to think that. Glad you pointed that out. Is he actually speaking in this movie?
Yes,
I
there are
think so.
2 scenes. Yes, most of the time it is him speaking. There are 2 scenes where he has really bad ADR and it just doesn't quite line up with his mouth. But I
Okay.
do think he is actually speaking in the film.
Because it made me very confused. It seemed like so much more emotion between the weight of his words than his mouth barely opening or something.
I didn't get any of that, but it's possible.
Okay. I guess the ADR
Um,
confused me.
Something I forgot to bring up earlier. I was going to say that I looked up Connor's filmography, the actor, and that there was only 3.
Oh, yes. Finley Jacobson.
Yes. Yeah. Marmaduke and Marley and Me are the 2 other films he's been in.
Yeah.
So
He was in Olympus Has
Pretty
Fallen, and he
small
goes,
filmography.
"There's no dog in this movie. I'm done acting."
get out of here.
He was promised a dog, and they're like, "We got the SWAT dog that attacks a guy in 1 scene." That was it. It wasn't enough.
There was a
Yeah,
there was a
I mean
fact about that.
to tell you that it actually is him, like it's not him. Like Rick Yoon, the actor, he's a Korean American actor and he speaks fluent English. He was born and raised in D.C. Funny enough.
Oh,
I forgot in the facts. Apparently, he was a North Korean spy or something in another movie before this. I didn't write that one down, but apparently another connection.
Typecast. God damn it.
Yeah. Springs.
how do you two feel about the use of time in the movie?
It feels very arbitrary to me. I kind of stopped writing it down because it didn't feel impactful past the 12 o'clock like time requirement that was given.
Did you find it believable?
Yeah, I mean, most of the events happening within 2/3 of a day. It's believable, I think.
Okay. I started to question it when the attack was at like 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning, and then it jumps to like 10 p.m. at night.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
'cause
I
they
took
had-
that as evening.
Oh no, it
Well,
was
that-
not
it was-
7 in the
they had
evening. It
AM
was 7 in the
on there.
morning.
That was 7 in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah.
And then
the
it
film
jumps
got
like
really fucky with
10
time.
at p.m. and I went, something's not right here. But it keeps telling you the time in so many scenes. I went, I feel like time. They're really giving this time thing like it's a big importance, or like something they
mean,
really gave detail into.
Time is really important to military. So I think it's supposed to make the film feel a little bit more tactile. But I don't think they play with it as like a serious thing with the film outside of
I mean, there's
the 12 p.m.
yeah.
time.
I don't know necessarily the layout of the White House, but and I didn't fully write it down. I just remember it. Mike is in like the Oval Office a little after midnight, and then it takes him over an hour to get to the Lincoln bedroom.
Well, he does have to carefully move around the
True,
place.
but I don't
It's
know
not
how
like
far
quick walk.
apart those two things are.
It is a very big house. As someone who, I think the White House is I feel like it's about the size of Buckingham Palace. No, I think the White House is
I
smaller.
don't know. It's
No,
quite smaller
so
than that.
yeah, so the White House is smaller. I'm just running in through my head. I think it would take him an hour to get from one area to the other, especially if he has to sneak around and be stealthy. So I don't have much of an issue with that because I think one's in the West Wing and one's in the East Wing.
Okay.
And it's inferring on my end, but we also don't know if he's like checking the dead, see if he's got any buddies that can help or need assistance.
I don't see any
That's
of that.
inferring. We don't really see. I mean, we see him checking bodies and stuff.
True, but that's the same thing. Like
a little
on
different.
his way there, he got into 3 more fights. Like, we don't know.
Well, what we do know is how many people he kills. I guess that would be the limit to that. And I did not go back to count. But on the facts section of me looking at stuff, somebody did do a kill count in this movie, and I believe it was 168 was the kill count.
I can believe that.
Civilians, Secret Service,
Yeah.
all that.
Okay. I can go with 160.
How's Act 2 looking?
I have 2.
Ryder, are you gonna have to
I shall skim.
All right, Sprinks.
So Kane's whole motivation for blowing up America is because his mom stepped on a landmine?
Set by the U.S. Yeah, I guess if you want to distill it down to that, I'm sure he's got national pride and
yeah, my whole thing was
stuff,
like, why
but-
is Kane doing this? What is his motivation? Why is he want to blow up America, like nuclear warfare? And then it's just like his mom stepped on an American landmine. Like,
He could be
okay.
loyal. Like it could be a mix of that and his loyalty to his country. Like I think that's enough motivation for what he does here.
But he never,
He's willing to die for it.
but he never really talks
then
about
there's
his
Dave.
country.
And there's Dave.
My son died. What does that have to do with anything, Dave?
His son
That's
died.
later.
Yeah, it was like a face-off situation.
But Kang's, I don't think we need much more than that. The mom's death, and he's doing all this for his country, even though he doesn't scream like for North Korea or the United whatever
Yeah.
he called it. I forgot. He's not like a zealot, but he is doing this for his country.
Okay.
So I'm fine with that. I have more issues with Dave, which we'll get to in Act 3. Ryder?
Yeah. The once Kang makes his like demands, there's a bit where everybody's just looking at Morgan Freeman's character to see what he's gonna do, and then he just calmly orders himself some coffee in a mug, and then
Mr.
he just
Speaker.
goes down a list. Yeah, and then he just goes down a list of things he's gonna do. I actually quite like that scene. So it shows that he's not like in over his head. He's competent and can work with his job. You know.
Yeah, and I
Because
think
again,
that
it's
does a good job at feeling like he can do the job. Because before this, all we really got was him butting heads with the president. Well,
and Mike.
butting heads
Well,
is
yeah,
a little
Crimson.
strong.
That's
but-
the job.
That's the job. You're right. And apparently, the actress for what was her name? Lynn.
Lynn?
The actress only took this job to work with Morgan Freeman. So
Wow, Morgan Freeman only did it for the money, and she only did it to be with him. Interesting.
I know, isn't that great?
Valid. To be fair, I could buy her motivation. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Morgan Freeman? Fun
Yeah.
fact about Oblivion: Tom Cruise worked really hard to get Morgan Freeman on that script because he wanted a chance to work with him too.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's role in Oblivion, I feel like, kind of could have been for anyone.
Yeah. But again, Morgan Freeman's a good actor; does a good job with it. Anyway, but I like it's the writers circumventing a trope I tend to hate, which is, again, it's a useful trope, so I don't want to diss it all the time, but like putting someone in a position where they're not used to being in and then watching them be in over their head. Granted, that gets shifted over to the general, I think, a lot. But I think I like that Morgan Freeman this job is thrust upon him, and I like that he's able to do it competently. It's one of the strengths of the film. They circumvented a trope for him mostly, which I liked.
Yeah. All right, Sprinks, I guess your last one.
My last one, I liked the interrogation / torture scene. A bit. When Mike has the two guys in the Oval Office. And he's like, well, I'll get you to talk. And they're just laughing at him. He goes, oh, okay. And then just stabs the guy in the neck and kills him because he only needs one guy for information.
They were all laughing together and everything. I really liked your friend. He seemed like a really funny guy.
He's a very cheerful guy. It's so good. I also really like the interrogation scene as well. It's like, I'm slow, guess I'm rusty.
Oh, I'm so
Good
sorry.
stuff.
You need to speak. And he takes it off and he immediately says like two things in Korean, stabs him in the leg.
Yeah, it's like in English. And that explains my other timestamp, by the way, which is
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I just liked how like stern, matter of fact, and confident he was with the interrogation, and just in Act 3 with Kang on the video call, he just wasn't taking any of Kang's nonsense.
Yeah,
yeah, sure, whatever.
I have a nitpick with that, but yeah,
we'll get there. Right, and Ryder, your last one, if you have any.
Yeah, my last one also has to do with the interrogation scene. Because it's Gerard Butler, the stoic / Viking voice comes out of him a little bit in that scene.
Yeah.
There's a couple times where his American accent breaks, and it's fun to hear. I guess the Nordic accent come out a little bit.
Yeah, he's Scottish. That's like if they cast James McAvoy in this role.
Yeah.
Just saying, another Scottish actor, but
yeah,
it's amusing to me when it comes up, because I think his American accent is mostly pretty solid. It just he can't. It switches out a little bit.
It's when he gets emotional.
Yeah.
All right, then on to Act 3. Then we have Kang being ID'd to the end of the film, and I will start this one. Potentially stealing Sprinks' nitpick or Nick with
maybe
we had Banning tell Dave to say he's dead. That's a huge advantage that Banning now has. And then he calls Kang like, surprise, and ruins the whole advantage he just had.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. It feels like a waste.
See, my thing with that is I'm pretty sure Kang would have figured it out with the whole Hydra attack, to be honest with you. When he loses like 5 guys in that room.
Uh-huh. Well, the helicopters could have killed the guys, I guess.
Well, but I guess. I don't know. I feel like that's more of a taunt because I think he knew that he was still going around at that point. At least to me, he was still new. But I guess... Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree. I probably don't have that as far up the ladder as you do.
But a little too cocky.
But it's a little too cocky.
But that's not my nitpick I have with it.
Okay, then you can go do your nitpick.
My nitpick, to piggyback off that, is the camera angle in the video call is straight on from Kang's point of view, looking at Mike. But on Mike's end, he's looking up into a security camera. The angles do not match.
Yeah, you're right. I'm running it through my head, and that's absolutely correct.
The camera would be looking down on, also more in like a fisheye lens to get the whole room for a security camera, not this like webcam directly in front of Mike.
Yep, no disagreement. Definitely a nitpick. For me.
They make it look cooler, but it's not. It doesn't line up. Oh boy, I have so much with this third act. Crimson. Earlier, I said, thank you for reminding me I had to look something up. And then I went and looked something up. Have you seen Die Hard? Because you don't have a score on LetterBoxd for Die Hard.
I have not seen it all the way.
Okay. Ryder, I take it you've seen Die Hard.
I think you were there when I saw Die Hard.
Oh, probably. I am fine if something wants to pay a little homage to something. Like a little like tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, that's connected. That makes sense. Okay, cool. I don't like when it's overused because they don't have any other idea to play off of. There is too much Die Hard in this third act, and I don't like it.
So what were you looking up?
I was looking up if you've seen Die Hard and what score you gave it,
Oh, that's
and you don't
okay.
have a score for it. So I'm
I
like,
thought
oh,
you're-
maybe
I
you
thought you were
haven't seen it.
looking up behind the scenes if they referenced. Yeah, we're
No, I
Die
don't
Hard.
want to do that in case I spoil something. Because you said you had another thing to go with of like different pitch ideas. So I didn't of like how the movie went.
different
No.
stuff.
I am in full agreement with Ryder that the whole scene with Forbes and them talking in the little smoke break, that's the whole Bill Clay scene.
Yeah.
That is entirely that. The scene where Mike is bleeding out and he has his phone call with Leia, that is when John McClane is talking to Al, taking glass out of his foot.
Yeah.
Ruth being sent, like, you can go, leave. There's just a shot of her showing to the audience that, yes, she's barefoot, stepping on glass.
All right, that's a stretch. That's an.
They didn't need to include that shot.
That's the other two. I'll give you. Her stepping on glass.
Barefoot stepping on glass. They chose to show that.
So many things. No. Definitely there too. I'll hand to you though.
I'm happy they're not 1-to-1. I do think they overdo it a little bit. I view the final call to Leah more so.
Well, yeah, Leah doesn't say
I
a shot
view
a
that-
kid.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like that it works. I like that. Like again, it works for both characters in the scene. Again, I have issues the fact that he didn't warn Leah earlier in the film, but
Or even now.
I mean, he
Doesn't bring it up now.
Well, that's the thing, right? I would want this one to be focused on more on like this might be his goodbye kind of thing. So I don't want him to warn her now. I would prefer to warn her earlier in the film. That way, this scene could focus purely on the emotion of it being a long day at work, kind of thing. But given that it doesn't happen early in the film, like a nitpick fix that I would still have a nitpick with it, but the fix would be to have it in this scene too.
Yeah.
But
So, Sprinks, is this like a subjective dislike
Yes.
then? Okay. Okay.
I thought about it objectively. I'm like, how much do I weigh by how much they're selling Die Hard in this to not making it original? But
percentage-wise,
it didn't
pretty
weigh.
small
It didn't
in the
weigh.
movie.
So
yeah, I think they pay homage to it, and I think they pay homage perhaps a little too much. But
well, even the phone call to Kang, that's like when John takes the radio to talk to Hans. Like, not being secretive, or like he's oh, I'm still here. I'm causing a ruckus.
Yeah. Let's see. How do I feel about that conversation over the radio? I think I'm
One could even say that putting Connor in a vent to escape is another homage to it, but I
yeah, there's quite a bit.
no, yeah, don't worry, kid. I'm a cop. Look at my badge. I'm not from the White House. I'm from somewhere else, but I'm still, a cop here trapped inside this building.
Well, I'd hardly say he's trapped. He could have gone.
Yes, I'm just giving more Die Hard connections, and I'm like, wow, this is just a lot.
Yeah, I like 30 minutes in. I'm like, is this going to be Die Hard with just Craig to 11 because it's the White House? I'm kind of right. It is very much in that vein.
But the Forbes scene really that's a 1-to-1. That's like
the Forbes scene is the Forbes scene is a 1-to-1. Like, I am not going to dispute that. Everything else, I think they did a good job making it not as direct.
What was Kang's escape plan?
The sewers. It looks like.
Yeah.
I think he was just
him and the president
going he was going to walk him through the sewers. I think that's what that is.
Maybe
all
I'm
eyes are on an
Was there an
helicopter.
established sewer system or something?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I think it was just like
that was just them busting out of the bunker.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I could tell you what it is because I did research for a fan fiction, for a Division fan fiction that I wrote. But That's the research I did. The film didn't establish anything.
No, they did not
So,
establish what his actual exit was. You
yeah,
had the distraction of the helicopter, but how is he getting out of the White House?
there are Cold War bunkers, or there are Cold War tunnels built underneath most of DC.
Yeah, that was never
I
said.
know, but it's
Yeah,
not in
it's
the
not
movie.
in the film. So, like, I feel like Kang would have explicitly said, "This is our out" at some point.
Yeah, so I think that's a failure on the film to not establish his actual exit. And not really relevant thing. Hacker lady, was she on the helicopter? She kind of just
I'm
disappeared.
going to guess so. I don't know. They
I
said
think
they have
so.
11
Yes.
hostages, or noted 11
Yeah,
people
11
coming into the
hostages.
helicopter,
Yeah.
but 2 of them, the front and back, were goons. I don't remember seeing Hacker Lady go in there, but I don't think that was like 9 people handcuffed, excluding the president. That would have been 10 people on that railing handcuffed. I don't think there were 10 people.
Well, I don't think
I
everyone
mean,
was tied to the railing, just the significant people.
if they showed like they had other prisoners, that would be cool. Because I don't think we're shown that they have enough prisoners down there to do something like this. Because I think a lot of them are just um, those. A lot of at least half of those people were just committed to the cause. Like I feel like they would be willing to take a suicide trip up and,
Yeah,
and
so I
die.
think Hacker Lady was one of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hacker Lady probably is the one that detonated, given
Yeah.
how involved
Because
she
the
is with the rest of the
only
film.
2 at the end left is the president and Kang.
And a
Oh,
small team of
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
there was like
three.
three
Yeah.
other guys.
That 2 of them get shot immediately by Mike.
Yeah.
And then the long-haired guy who was the one at the fireplace that thought to shoot the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, another funny thing. I don't know why it's funny. Like, I get the comedy, I guess, maybe in it. I don't understand why Kane like takes out 2 knives and he's like, "Oh, I got 2 knives," and he like, you know, just pricks Mike a little, and he's like, "Ow," you're sharp. And then Mike immediately like disarms him of his 2 knives.
I didn't really see that as a comedic thing.
I don't know. It was like a little bit of like Raiders kind of thing. It's
I'm,
like, here's like 2 knives, I'm
well,
dangerous, and then bam, bam, your knives are gone.
yeah. I mean, I'm like that he was okay. The things I like about the scene, I like that the president contributed, even though he got shot. Like he held Kang down long enough for Mike to finish the job.
I liked Kang's look at Mike, like, "Oh shoot, this is the headshot, isn't it?" And then stabbed in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was again. It's actually quite satisfying. I think Kang is villainous enough to make that feel a little bit satisfying.
But we didn't need
I love.
the Cap and Bucky against Iron Man kind of thing, right? Like they're both doing their boxing thing on Kane.
No,
No, I mean, Aaron her was shot, so I don't think I would have issues with that if he could do that. But I feel like that would have been a cool to see a version of that in a scene that was cut.
maybe in
But I
London Has
think,
Fallen.
but that being well, I mean that's the John Cena Idris Elba thing that where like the Prime Minister of Britain and the President of the United States are like both former secret agents or whatever.
Is that in the next?
Um,
I haven't seen London Has Fallen. I don't know.
I don't know. That's not London Has Fallen, but that's like another like
Oh,
oh the White House got attacked, so the Prime Minister and the President like team up, and since they're both secret agents, they just do a bunch of shit themselves. And, I mean, it's John Cena, Idris Elba. I do want to see the movie. I don't know the name of
oh,
it.
it's Heads of State. That's
Heads of
I.
State. Yeah,
Yeah, that came out last year. I was gonna watch that.
yeah, it looks funny. I do want to watch that, especially after this trilogy.
Know nothing about it.
Yeah, it looks funny. That's why I want to watch it. Um, I would. I so. Uh, with the scene as it is, I do think that the president contributes enough not to feel useless in the scene. I like that the president is willing to do that because obviously Aaron Eckhart's been shown to be brave most of the film, but he's just been tied down most of it.
Rachel. Oh gosh.
I do
I
think his
loved
performance of Harvey Dent
the
did
neck
get him this
snap.
role.
Yes,
Possibly.
I think so as well.
I love the
Aaron Eckhart's
neck snap over the guy's shoulder. That I don't remember which guy. It might have been the long-haired guy actually. That I've never seen anyone snap a neck over a shoulder before. That looked pretty cool.
Wow, other than the
Yeah.
main bad guy, the last standing goon was long-haired. All right, another die-hard thing. Write that down.
Sure. And it was a guy. A guy was the last one standing too. So let's pile on.
Don't
Yeah,
doubt the
that's
people with long hair,
another
Springs.
die-hard thing.
He was clothed. There we go. Freaking.
Oh, they were both clothed. Okay. Neither one actually needed glasses. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll jump to unless we have anything more to say on the scene, because there's a lot to say about that scene.
Not at the moment.
About the fight, kill on Kang. No.
Yeah, that whole scene. Okay, we might come back to it later because I'm sure I have notes for it. But
I guess killed by his own blade. His own weapon.
That's true. Consequences. I will jump to the radio call for between Kang and Banning. Yeah, I keep wanting to say Banning. Same thing, but the radio call between Kang and Banning. I like that as much as it's one of those. This is a subjective thing for me, but Banning could have totally revealed to Kang that he knew who he was in that scene. And when he's like, welcome to my house. He's like, but he does get his jab, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry to inform you that Connor's on his way out to the baseball game, so he's like not in the house. So they have their tit for tat conversation when they're threatening each other without necessarily they're proving their competence to each other is what it is. I do like that, Kang's trying to get in his head, obviously knowing who Mike's wife is and stuff like that, and as an angle. But I like that Banning. I objectively like that Banning doesn't give away the fact he knows Kang's name to try to keep that in his back pocket a little bit longer. I subjectively wish we had a back and forth where he revealed it to Kang that he knew who he was too.
Yeah, battle of wits type deal.
Yeah, that's definitely where the heart versus the mind for me. I would have loved to see a little bit more of the battle of wits, just in the dialogue of the scene. But I objectively recognize that Banning was being smart by not revealing Kang's name yet.
Okay.
You got your wife or girlfriend right at the hospital, and then he'd be like, "Well, at least I still have my mom."
That'd be something.
Nothing like that. And just like, I'm gonna tell it. And he's like, there's something that he could say there to reveal the name that's not like that. But
something I was gonna bring up earlier, totally forgot about it, was Diaz or whatever, the guy that kind of took Banning's job, the last secret agent guy, Secret Service guy.
No, not the last. He's like the fourth one to last, because the three guys in the room were like, "I'll hold the door. You hold this one." They just die immediately.
Freaking losers! They could shoot through the door.
No.
Him saying the title of the movie, I think fit. It didn't feel corny or cheesy to me, at least. It felt appropriate.
It felt like appropriate code name use.
It was fine that they said it over and over. Like an actual warning, like I hear this, like relaying a message. If it was a one and done, would have been corny.
Yeah, he's like, Olympus has fallen. Repeat, Olympus has fallen.
Yeah, that's
knowledge,
But if he's like, Olympus has fallen, yeah, okay.
I'm glad he took someone down too.
I hope
they say London has fallen and Angel has fallen in the next ones. Keep up with the trend.
I don't remember if Angel's fallen. It's been too long. They might have. But I agree. I wanted it in each one.
Yeah.
That's established.
You had a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah. I like the overall idea. I know Ryder brings it up a couple times. Like, it's all about the execution of something and how it looks, or how it goes. Sorry, how it goes, not how it looks. Of the explosion on the Hydra.
Well, it looks is more for you. So
and Mike has to like dodge the rotor blades of a chopper, so it drops from the roof and goes down a couple floors. I think that whole idea is very cool. I wish the CGI looked better.
I'm on board with you.
I might say that about the whole movie. I think the
that's a great
CGI kind of for all of it should have looked better. The explosions look very good. I think explosions look good.
Yeah.
Everything else is a little cartoony.
I think the daytime attack, really good CGI stuff. I think the nighttime stuff, obviously I can see why it's nighttime. I'm in agreement. So, and as you're saying, Springs, like, it's about execution for me,
Yeah.
but hey, visuals are your thing, man.
I know,
mean,
but I
that
like
could be a thing
him
for you.
going through the floors and keeping the camera stuck on him. But it does feel like he's falling in a green screen.
Yeah, I think the visual effects for 2013 are okay.
Well, this is at the point where
There's
CGI was dying down, right? And being more rushed.
Yeah, it was starting to, yeah.
like I think some of the worst visuals are like the background stuff when you have Banning and Ben walking out of the White House. You just see this like fake looking soot and blood on the walls, and it looks really bad. Like it was
Yeah.
just
and
pasted
What
on
about,
there
what
as
about the
a PNG.
what about the horrible green screen with the Korean commandos going up and cutting down the American flag to the sad patriotic music? That looked pretty awful.
I don't think they were on a roof. Yeah.
No.
I don't think they were either. Yeah.
And apparently the flag was tossed and it was upside down, which represents distress. That is something
Yes.
I found during the fact section.
That's
so.
nice.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely a thing that.
I'm glad they didn't show it on the ground because I feel like that's a law or something.
No, it's not a law. At least it shouldn't be. I would say, but like the whole distress thing, like if you fail to evacuate during a flood or whatever, people hang their flags upside down in their houses so people can know to come rescue them, that sort of thing. So it's very much a universally accepted, like hanging the flag upside down when distress. Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty, Ryder, let's hear what you got.
Sure. I think my least favorite fight scene is probably the Forbes banning fight scene.
That was a fight scene?
It was very lacking.
It was
Let me
lackluster.
bust you through this
and pretty
wall
weak
and
sauce.
stab you.
Yeah. I'm fine with how it ended, but I just wish there was more of a struggle because this is meant to be like two top agents going at each other. So it didn't, because this is what the film had been building up for, so it felt pretty lackluster.
I did like the stab, the really quick jab. I thought that was pretty cool. But leading up to it, yeah, it was just so quick, and there more back and forth would have been great. I think of Dave being more conflicted because you get to see that in the hallway bit where he's starting to second guess Kang, thinking Kang's crazy. But I guess he snaps himself out of it and attacks Banning by throwing a cigarette at him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can one of you relate to me the whole U.S. side of letting the hostages with the black hoods leave?
What do you mean?
Like, were they afraid to fire at anyone because they all look the same and one of them could be the president?
They didn't want to shoot the president or other staff.
They know the hostages are mixed in with them, so this was their plan. They knew immediately as they saw them, they knew that Kang had disguised some of his men to be out there with the hostages, so they just didn't know which ones were which.
Okay. Did Kang relay, like, if you open fire or anything or come into the White House, I'll kill the president? Because that's the thing Morgan Freeman had to, like, the speaker had to decide, because he said stand down.
I think they
blanket statement of doing anything will kill the president.
Okay, anything they do could kill the president.
Yeah.
After the
It
vice
is-
president got killed, he said, "Any more things, and it's the president next." So
Okay.
I think that would carry over to messing with the helicopter.
Okay. Because
Because they don't know if they're strapped with bombs or really anything, so it is feasible they could get killed that way. And obviously, one of them has a bomb on him.
yes. Okay. Okay. I was
And
just thinking.
it's tracked, so they have confidence that they could at least follow them to their
Yeah.
destination or
I was just
something.
thinking, writer. Well, I mean, I looked it up again, Crimson. It says you don't have a log, so I'm going to guess you haven't seen it. Writer, have you seen the movie Speed?
with Keanu.
Yes.
Yeah, you showed me that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's another one I showed you.
That's another one. I have not seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just questioning why didn't they just shoot the hostage? But I guess that would cause the likelihood of the president being killed.
What do you mean? Like the president? Like the military killing the hostages?
The scene in Speed. Sorry, Crimson, and sorry for people who haven't seen Speed. That came in 1994. When Anthony Hopkins, or is it Anthony Hopkins?
I don't think it's Anthony Hopkins, but he looks like him. So
yeah, sorry, not Anthony. The bad guy who has Jeff Daniels, and he's like using him as like a body shield, and Keanu Reeves shoots Jeff Daniels in the leg and shoots the hostage. That way he can't, carry him out, or he'd have to drag him, so he just leaves him there. I was like, when all the hostages come out, rather than open fire, not knowing which ones are the actual hostages and which ones are Kane's men, just shoot them in the leg. It's not a fatality to kill them, but it'll stop them where they are. But I guess the guilt of an explosion caused from that.
So if that takes place, right? The bomb goes off, all the hostages still die, but there's nothing really that changes in that scene, I guess. So that would be
It
an avenue
saves whoever was in the helicopter.
That's true. It would save who's ever in the helicopter. And I would say it's a shame that no one had like a what is it called? Heat scan?
Thermal.
Thermal.
Yeah, they just have night vision.
Shame no one had thermal. Yeah, because thermal would give them a better body type and better body shape underneath the hood.
Well, and potentially could detect the bomb.
Yeah, and potentially detect the bomb.
Their hands weren't fully restrained. Couldn't someone be doing like Morse code?
Well, if they were smart enough to do some sort of signaling without Kang noticing, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe maybe the general could have, but I don't know. They could have restrained like the hostages more tightly than their.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other things rather than 11 people getting a helicopter explode.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of them I think it's nerves because they're terrorists or they're willing to kill. There are things they could have tried, but honestly, it doesn't alter the outcome that much. They transmit more code. They have like let's say the military is informed that by Morse code as they're walking to the helicopter. They pass it up to the general. They direct the specialists. They all get in the helicopter. By the time they figure out what's going on, I still think they all die.
Could the shape of a bomb be identified in thermal?
The bomb would be identified in thermal, yes. Well,
some could have
that's true.
Shielding to hide the.
Most bombs would be identified.
Yeah, but wouldn't the
thermal.
shielding be identified on the body? Like they're like, oh, there's no heat signatures on their chest, or something.
Could be. I'm not a bomb expert, so I don't know.
Okay.
The variations.
Again, it depends. Yeah, is kind of where I would limit that. It happens to their perspective very quickly, so the options from the military is also very limited.
Okay, I'm just curious. Any other additional things that could go into this on damage ladder situation or a change or something? Because in my head, I'm just like they just all got on and exploded, and no one could do anything about it. And my biggest thing was like because if they did anything, the president could die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they think the president is dead because of the explosion.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So Kang made a pretty good scenario, It's pretty tight. Um, so on that, we still don't know what his exit plan is, but the decoy is a pretty strong plan.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say for what I would do, Sprinks, is I would have them, in the briefing room as they're like, don't do anything. Well, we could still have like grunts on the ground offering suggestions of what they could try to do and have it be turned down for this reason, that reason as they're being walked out to the plane. So you still get that they want to do something and they're trying to figure out what they could do, but they obviously, ultimately all those ideas are shot down for one reason or another. I think that might help your that
Okay.
outlook on the scene, Springs, for you.
A little, I guess. It's just, again, one of those things that could be a thing, but no one on the ground team went up to communications to relay any ideas or show them trying to get to communication to relay something. Like, it just kind of went like, oh, they're all just grunts following orders, kind of incompetent to what they're doing, other than the one person on screen to the speaker.
Well, they had a small window because they could have had a whole plan of them approaching the helicopter, but once all the hostages are revealed to be ambiguous, they only had like a minute to figure out options. So it's a small, stressful window.
I suppose. Could they outfit? I don't know how. No, probably wouldn't have gone fast. I'm like, could they outfit the pilot of the chopper to have a gas mask of some sort, and then as soon as they get on the helicopter to gas them?
Um,
I guess that depends on how the trigger would work. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I see where you're going with this. It depends on the kind of bomb and the trigger they have. Because if it's remote detonated, let's say from Kang's office, that accomplishes nothing. Or if it's someone in there, but they have like a you know
a
dead
dead man
stick. So like the
switch.
moment dead
Yeah.
man switch, or like in the sense that as soon as they fall limp, it just goes off.
Okay. Yeah, that could be it.
So, so again, I think them trying to suggest things would probably solve what you're going for here, Springs.
Okay. I'm just
Because
trying to, more things to make the U.S. government and military look a little more smarter than everything
yeah,
just being Mike has brains and no one else does kind of thing.
yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm obviously advocating for that too.
So,
Most of the brains died with the machine gun bullets, apparently.
supposedly, I have another big question to ask because I didn't really understand it.
All
How
right, let's
did
hear it.
how did Kang get the last code?
He hacked it.
Yeah,
Okay, it was just hacking the last
They
one, like a chance to find, like just doing all the
yeah.
possible
So
combinations.
yeah, it's kind of like they kind of imply that it's a chance thing. They're doing all the possible combinations. They say it would take at least
they
uh
said a couple days in the crisis room. They said it would take a couple days to hack, and then they said, well, he only had to get one instead of three, which would explain why he got it quicker. So it was just a hacking thing.
yeah. So they
Okay,
were hacking one code from the start. Once they betrayed and got control of the bunker, that's when essentially they began hacking one of the Cerberus codes.
okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know. I found that a little lackluster because I was kind of slightly confused when Kane just tells the president, he goes, "I read your Bible and what you have in place or whatever," and then they just have the code, and I went, "Did he write his code in his Bible? How'd they get that? What?"
They, they did show it was either two or three scenes that the third code is getting letters added to it. So it is getting figured out pretty much every time they show the hacker lady that more is getting added to his code. So it's not just a bang, they have it, it is actually being progressed from the movie.
Okay. I guess that I wish that was a little more shock and awe. I guess a lot of these things I wish
I,
were a little more shock and awe. Like finding Connor, I wish that was a little more. Um, Even the president getting shot, he just kind of, it's just facial expression. Wish they played into it a little more. I don't know.
I can see the point. Something I'm not a big fan. It's an action movie, so it's a lot of them have it, and that's a clock. I don't get why there's an arbitrary 5-minute clock for Cerberus to be operational.
Just in
Yeah,
case.
especially if this is supposed to stop a nuke midair. 5 minutes
should be
could mean
pretty
the life or
instant.
death of yeah. 5 minutes could mean the life or death of I don't know billions of people. I have to feel like Kang added it so he could vacate the area, but I mean they
5
needed to
minutes to fly away is not going to save you from the nuke.
No.
the explosions are going to be detonated in the silos, so the explosions will be not saying that they won't cause damage, but they will be somewhat contained by the fact that they're underground. It's the radiation that'll kill everyone.
Well,
So-
it's also they weren't designed to be blown up in the silos. They were supposed to be mid-air. So the 5 minutes is like the emergency shutdown. It's like, no, actually, we do want to launch these missiles.
I feel like Kang would have had to add it, but I think it's just.
Well, no, not for the regular purpose of Cerberus. They launch the nukes and then they input that if they want to stop it. But that 5 minutes is like, oh, our calculations are incorrect. Those missiles are coming in. Okay, we'll shut off Cerberus so our missiles do hit. Like original plan of how Cerberus would work.
You lost me. Sorry.
So Cerberus, like, they send the missiles out for a nuclear attack, and they're in the air.
Okay.
And then they punch in Cerberus if they want to blow them up in air. As you said, it would already destroy the Earth because the atmosphere of like blowing up. That 5 minute timer is if they want to blow it up in the air. What if they get news? It's like, no, they're actually not backing down. That whoever they're attacking, let's stop Cerberus so we do land those attacks. So then that's the 5 minute warning to cancel it so their missiles do hit.
Saying. So like when they order a nuclear strike, they put Cerberus in just in case, so they have that window of opportunity of whether to call it off or not.
Yes, I think that's it. Not that their plan is to blow up their own silo, their own country.
Yeah, I could sort of see that. Yeah. I have Cerberus itself at about a nick. That would fall under that for me. It's like I need more understanding of how logistically this is supposed to work in world. Because I could see that. That's definitely something that could add the 5 minute timer, not to make it arbitrary. But
yes, I think for its regular intentional purpose, the 5 minute timer makes sense to me in case they change their mind or something changes upon like an act of war with someone.
Yeah. Okay. That's valid.
But
Crimson?
Yeah.
On that topic or my own point?
Well, I mean, you're the host, but yes, you're on that topic too.
On that topic. If it's set a 5 minute timer and then a activate button, I'd be okay. But it looks like it's just a countdown to it detonating, which then wouldn't make sense to me for the whole purpose of what Cerberus is. So if the 5 minutes was a window that they could turn it off, that makes sense to me. But it's not a 5 minute window of turning it off. It's a 5 minutes till detonation. That doesn't compute for me, so I don't think it works. Because if it was 5 minutes and then a button you could press any time in the 5 minutes, then that makes sense to me.
Yes, but the button is, okay, these missiles will hit now. There's nothing stopping us from attacking this place.
That's the point of Cerberus, is to stop them. If you need to stop it now, you can't wait 5 minutes. That doesn't make sense. It defeats the whole purpose of it.
I see.
So if the 5 minutes is a window, and then you can press it within that window, makes sense. Having to wait 5 minutes, no matter what, doesn't make sense to the whole point of Cerberus. At least to me.
Okay.
And I guess the point I was going to go to with Dave, I hinted at earlier, not a big fan of Dave. His earlier motivations was he felt betrayed by the president, so why not take this job for money? That's kind of the shallow end later. Banning's like, why'd you do this? My son died. That's it.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, his son died. Doesn't explain how, why, connection. Just his son
I
died.
see. I didn't. I guess I didn't. I guess I just. I don't know. That's so terrible. I guess my mind just
Oh,
eviscerated it. 'Cause
I mean,
I didn't hear that at all.
the best implication is that some kind of money would have saved his son's life, which goes into the
No
whole
clue.
billionaire thing, like just spending money willy nilly on the cut. That's all I really get why Forbes hates the president.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
nothing on the son
Uh,
other than the
I
son
got the.
died. I don't know how it's connected to anything. It's
Yeah,
really
I
bad
was
that he
focused.
just said that.
I was focused more on the like, oh, I lost my way kind of line. I'm like, man, if only I cared about you, Forbes. So it just.
I think I lost my way was just kind of like getting Mike to like get defensiveless or something, like make him weak for a jump attack or something.
Lowers guard.
Yeah, lowers guard. That's how I kind of took that, because Forbes that whole time knew what he was planning to do and Mike didn't know. But the son thing, no, that was just him saying, my son died.
It's not connected to the U.S. or the Koreans.
It's
That's
connected to his
established. It's
hate to the
just, my
president.
son died.
The reason he's a traitor.
Yeah, terribly implemented. Horrible. All right, let's go with a writer point.
Let's see. I think I'll go with Mike's plan to lure Kang out to the open. I actually like it. Um, uh, so obviously, it's twofold, right? He shuts Kang's video feed down and stuff like that, but it also lures Kang out because Kang is going to publicly shoot, the Madam Secretary as she stumbles out into the White House lawn in public view of everything that's out there, to prove that he could still get the killing messages across if he wanted to, which is cool. But I like that it feeds into Mike's plan. Mike's plan was to get Kang out in the open that way.
I like
So
it in concept, but I think it dumbs down Kang. I don't know why he had to leave the bunker when he could have just ordered his men to shoot her once she stepped outside.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that either, because Kang could have been more cautious, but maybe it's because, again, it plays into the game aspect now that Kang tried to get into Mike's head, but really Mike's getting into his head. I think that if I had a little bit more game aspect in the movie, I could buy it, I think.
And then there's Mike, who couldn't get the shot on him. He got his goons instead.
He tried.
Yeah. All right, Sprinks, you can add or move on.
Yeah, no, that was a good connection, or like use that they did. I'll go back to your thing, Crimson, about timers on stuff, which was the biggest hit, I think, to my subjective rating for this movie. The timer that the President Ben warns Mike. He's like, there's a timer, we gotta stop Cerberus, you gotta input the code. And Mike turns and looks at the countdown. And the countdown is at 1:08. He has 1 minute and 8 seconds on Cerberus left. And the timestamp of the film is 1 hour, 45 minutes, 28 seconds. That means that Mike needs to deactivate Cerberus no later than 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 36 seconds in order for this to work. It did not happen because Mike got caught up on hashtag and shift 3, which he entered on the point of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 36 seconds. And then he had to input, I think, 2 or 3 more keys that are related to him before all that can be computed, and then stopping the timer with like 3 seconds of compute time. So not only is it a movie moment, which made me see like a movie moment because the time went over, but it made me feel so disappointed that this whole movie is relayed time-wise stuff of like, this, what's happening next is happening at this time of night, and this time, and this hour, and this, and the whole movie's had time throughout, like, the whole thing. Yet the big time thing at the end was not accurate. I thought the whole time thing was then kind of just big old wasted thing, just to look cool. Didn't really matter.
Forgot in the facts section. There was something that was said in the movie like 30 minutes, and then the rest of the movie actually was 30 minutes. I don't remember what it was, but nothing pertaining to this particular clock. And when you say it's a subjective hit to you, is it significant to move any numbers, or is it just it's a part of
Oh, it hit. No, it
it's
moved.
a blemish?
It moved stuff, yeah.
Hmm.
Because the whole
Alright.
movie is showing clocks. And then the big thing at the end, the big thing to solve to stop the big problem in the movie is a clock, and it doesn't stick to it.
All right. Ryder, I guess any input on that? Did that impact you at all or anything?
I mean, for me, the clock's not lining up is more of a small objective thing for me. Because that's something that could be visually fixed. They just didn't.
Oh, objectively, yes, that could have been edited better. I just saw that as movie moment, which is a nitpick.
Yeah.
I liked how they utilized the news in this very sparingly. It pops up a couple times, but it shows a presence there. My favorite one is the nighttime one when the helicopters got completely wrecked by the Hydra 6 system. And at the bottom, it's got like the scrolls of what's going on in the news and stuff. And one of them's talking about how the future of the stock market is now in question. I'm like, yeah, of course. That's the top headline. The stock market's taking a dip.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's very accurate to America. That would be a top headline. Futures would tank if the president was being held hostage.
Yeah. Well, found that amusing. And apparently the news guy actually is a news guy in real life in Australia or something. More facts. There was a surprising amount of facts for this movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're kind of. Do you want to talk about the fact you were saving from the beginning about the alternate storyline stuff, or do we want to wait till we're actually done with everything we've? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end. But speaking of the end, how are you guys looking?
I have one more.
I shall skim, sir.
Lots of skimming. All right, Spikes, you're up.
So, Leia's life was threatened by the big bad, Kang, and Mike didn't think of sending anyone to go after her to check on her or anything. Yet, when Mike has the president and is leaving the White House, she's just there.
She's just there, and no one's rushing into the White House because they had to walk all the way from the
come in the ambulance from the hospital. Did she get the news? She know Mike's still alive, but she has many people to look after and care for because of the attack in the hospital. Why was she allowed to leave? Like that?
I don't know how she knows.
Didn't line up to me. She's just there. I get why Connor's there when his dad comes out. I don't get why she's there.
I wrote down in my notes, what is Connor doing here? Because he should be in a secure location right now. He should not just be outside of the combat area. He should be gone.
Yeah, well, in the 30 minutes that it took them, 30 minutes, like 10 minutes that it took the two of them to hobble from the bunker outside, I guess they could have gotten Connor there. But still pretty, it's a very movie moment that both Connor is there and
Leah
Banning's wife is there.
And yeah, right, are you pointing it out? I didn't even think about it. Just the president and him walking across the entire yard without anyone escorting him.
The White House is secure. Why isn't a medical team rushing the fuck in? The president's bleeding out. I know this is very much like the movie wants it to have, so these two hobble onto the lawn and you get the line as, I'm sorry about the house, sir. It's a great line. It's funny, but this wouldn't happen based on what I understand this in this world. Like,
And then there's
It reminds me of
when Madam Secretary left, the team was right next to the door to grab her, essentially.
Yeah. Crimson, it reminds me of the episode of SpongeBob The Great Snail Race, when the old snail comes out to light the torch to do the ceremony. And as soon as it's like, there's the old snail, he's there, everyone's like clapping, wonderful, like super happy. And then the snail's like a third of the way there and everyone's tired and bored.
Yeah, they're just bored with it.
it's funny. I actually understood that reference.
Oh.
Whoa, slow down. Got some SpongeBob under your belt.
That is a shocker.
Sort of. Yeah, I won't. Like I said, I recognize the memes. Okay,
Yeah, I was just about to say. I'm like, it's probably a meme.
I don't know why Mike is alone in the bunker at this point, because he could have just told them, "Hey, I think Kang and the president are still inside," which he does, but no one goes in.
Crimson, he
No
has a
one goes
minute.
in with them.
He's got a
Yeah,
minute.
there's no reason. Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't have
But
time.
there's no reason for them to already send squads in because they know that they own the house now, more or less, outside of the bunker.
Yeah, that they could just go in.
Yeah, he should just been like, President Secure, send evac. Now, I got a code to do.
Well, I mean, even before that, after the helicopter crash, he tells the speaker Kang wouldn't kill himself like that. Him and the president must still be inside. That's when the speaker's like, "All right, send in the people. Let's find the president."
But
Yeah,
He's still only trusting Banning.
I still
when
seem
he,
that
at
the
this
same with
point,
the
sent
hostage
people.
situation. Like, they know if they do anything, Kane warned that the president's next to be killed. If they did anything. So even if they're like, okay, hostage is all blown up, let's move in, that's still doing something.
Kang doesn't
That's
have access
true.
to the internal cameras anymore, right? Because she was shut out by Banning.
Banning blocked it out. Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't know. Yeah, okay. I feel like they would have sent at least a team in, maybe like 4 people, but
Yeah. I mean, Banning could say Kang has no way of. He has no eyes or ears in this building anymore. Send in the troops.
Yeah, and he could warn like, okay, there's traps here, there's traps here. It'll take you a while. I'm going down now. Try to catch up, and then they could arrive like to take care of the president behind him while he's shutting down Cerberus. So, they're escorting the two of them out of the house, so it feels less like there's no one that cares about them.
They just really wanted Banning versus Kang by himself.
Banning only has a minute.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
He doesn't know the
Well,
time.
no, I'm
by
just thinking like
that.
a group of like 5 people in a screenwriter's room, and people were saying the same thing, and then one person's just like, he has a minute. No, he's got to save everyone.
Yeah, it's
Like, that's the argument
better
being
than the
made.
Duffer Brothers.
Well, you saw what I was putting down there.
Yeah.
You
I
think
think
there's
11 should kill
a
herself.
tactical? You think there should be a tactical, conversation being said with the general and everyone in there? Well, there might be general fatigue. Oh, okay.
That's true. Yeah, there might be
Yeah,
general fatigue now.
Talk the general in this. He's because that's a character or characterization, a tropey character of the overconfident general or leader character.
Can we trust this
And
guy?
Big
Stay
Frank
out of the way.
11.
Blah, blah, blah.
This is we got him. Boom, helicopter blows up. What? No, he's so full of himself to a cartoony level.
But
I feel like a lot of this movie is pretty grounded for the most part with the characters, but he's like a cartoon.
Well, I kind of thought the Kane
Yeah.
thing was a little cartoony with the glasses. Like,
Like I said,
I
the
didn't
movie,
really know that.
okay, let's clarify. The movie gets cheesy in parts. It plays like the most patriotic, sad music, showing the White House on fire, with the American flag being cut down. It has cheesy moments.
Sure, but he's the only cartoon character.
Yeah, my issue with the general is that the thing that fixes all this for the general would just be like, wait, they have a Hydra? Shit, we need to pull back. And then, maybe Kang set up a jammer so they can't get the information through yet. So, I think that fixes the general instead of like, him being like, yeah, they got this. Then he just watches all of them die. Shit, pull them back.
Well,
He's not even the one that gives the order to pull back.
they all get destroyed, and Bang's like, "All right, what do you want me to do?" And the general's like, "Stand down. We don't want you to screw things up." What? Absurd. Too much. But I can't really say it's anything objective because he is consistently stupid.
I think the SEAL team plan works. They just didn't count on the Hydra. I don't know how they got that.
If, even if the general was told about the Hydra before they even approached.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue. Is he didn't immediately call off to reevaluate.
And I don't know how, was it 6 or 7 helicopters couldn't shoot and destroy one stationary.
Yeah, I don't know. No, they were observing.
I'm like,
There was surveillance.
Yeah, the drone was nice. That drone has a lot of battery, by the way, for
That's
20
true.
for this big 2014-ish, 2013-ish. But yeah, these helicopters have these things called tracking missiles, heat-seeking missiles. They could lock onto the Hydra. I know it's hard for films to commit to what they're doing, but
yeah. What I was gonna say is the
it
one
was pretty
general
laughable.
scene I do like is when he's trying to give orders and the speaker yells at him. It's like, when I want to hear you, I'll ask for your opinion, kind of thing.
yes, I do love the speaker shuts him down. It's really good.
I enjoyed the shootout in the White House where he shoots the guy's toe and the guy falls over and he shoots him in the head before he even hits the ground. That was a pretty cool moment that they threw in there.
Yeah,
Very short, but I enjoyed it. And I think the last thing I will talk about is a little bit of the humor. Ruth and the president talking about her hair, and the joke at the end about
Yeah.
the White House being insured. I think the sparse comedy that's sprinkled throughout is pretty good. When we talked about the interrogation scene, it's funny, but it's also brutal. I think they do a good job sprinkling the humor in this.
I think the light humor is a nice tone setter of believability, of comfort.
Especially the president scene with the secretary. I really love that scene because it shows like the humanity of it. Like they're in a really, really dark place right now, but they're just in trying to find something to be joyful about. She's proud to have served under him. That sort of thing. It works. It's such a good scene to convey just the best of humanity in the worst possible situation.
Some level of cope.
Yeah.
Sprinks, did you have one, or were you out?
I'm out. My last one was that Leia was there for some reason.
All right, and Ryder?
Skimming, I got, yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
Okie dokie. Then I guess I will add on the early draft revision could have been scenario section. All right. So the screenplay that was greenlit for production and attracted most of the talent involved had numerous differences from the final shooting script. Among the early elements that aren't in the final cut, Dave Forbes wasn't in the earlier script, and there was no conspiracy involving any Americans to assist Kang and the terrorists. Mike Banning is nearly killed by an NSA operative named Sandman, who infiltrated the White House and was ordered to kill the president so Kang can't use his code to start Cerberus. The South Korean politician who visits the White House and is murdered by Kang is their foreign minister, not their prime minister. And Kang's terrorists use an EMP-style weapon repeatedly during the assault, which isn't shown in the film. So that's numerous changes that they did through it. Having an NSA agent assigned to kill the president, that's an interesting thing to have been in this. I
Interesting.
think it's good that that's cut, but it would have been interesting to see how that would have been. And then Dave, I think, as is, Dave is not cuttable, but he is kind of sucky.
Yeah, he
I
needs to.
could see
Well,
this movie without him,
yeah,
though.
I don't like the Bill Clay stuff with Forbes. I do like the Sandman kind of thing if they played more into the weight of an emotional hit, being that this movie's R and they could definitely do it, of the president's very much set on saving his son of the life of one versus the life of the country. And they are
Yeah,
panicky because they don't know what the president's saying other than like the last thing they know of him is that they asked find his son. That's all the information they have out of the president. So they're like, that's what he's thinking of. We don't know where Connor is. He's probably getting panic in there, and that's driving the board to get panicked themselves to be able to make that decision. And I'm like,
yeah,
that
well, they know. Well, they know that they're looking for Connor because they find a picture. Banning finds a picture of Connor on one of the commandos. That's how the board
no,
learns.
they know that, but they don't know what the president's idea is in the bunker. They're getting no info from him or away from him. They just know that
Yeah,
Connor is the thing on his mind right now, and if that's the leverage being used
yeah,
against him to get his
yeah,
code, then they might need to
yeah,
send in the Sandman kind of thing. Like, I just think the weight of that could give a lot
yeah.
more into it, and we, the audience, could see the president's like sign of like, you know, hopefully Connor's okay and everything. Like, understanding like the president doesn't want to make the choice to sacrifice his son if it comes to it for the country being
Yeah.
the president, but
Yeah.
the board doesn't know that.
For them to want to send an NSA engine in, I think Connor needs to be captured.
Well, there was one more thing that was also changed or cut, and that's Connor was briefly captured by Kang before being freed near the end of the film.
I see.
So it did change the pace of Connor, I guess. But that was in the early version that he was captured and then saved later.
Yeah. I think I prefer this version when it comes to that. I again, Forbes is not removable. I want a lot of better stuff for Forbes. I don't mind the one-to-one Die Hard scene, mostly because I think it's a good homage. But honestly, I think that's the only one that's one-to-one, and I think that's okay for me. So I don't have an issue with that like Sprinks does. But more from Forbes, I think, would make him a better place in this film. It also would help. I can infer Kang got a lot of information from Forbes. There's still information that Kang shouldn't have based on that, but I feel like that helps explain the ease, more so explains the ease of which they were able to bring into the White House. The EMP thing kind of gets into sci-fi realm. There's not many of those. I don't know if there's many devices around that can do that. And let's be honest, North Koreans don't have access to that.
Yeah, I'm good with the MPs not being implemented.
It would be cool for sure, but it would have to be a really high-tech enemy.
If it's all or none of both scenarios, I prefer the one that's in the movie. If it's a mix match change out thing, if they did the Sandman route with far more emotion of the choice that the president would have to make if it came down to it, I think that I would have preferred. Because we, the audience, understand what Kane's motive is to get the president to give his code to destroy the country. We don't get that from the president because it doesn't come down to that.
Yeah, it's just an interesting element to throw in because now you're adding a third party, and that needs to be well established and integrated, which is impossible. Yeah. But it would be interesting to see how they would do it. All right. Anything else before we move into our ratings and summaries?
Not from me.
Not from me.
All right. Well, let's jump straight into it with writer.
All right. I'll talk about my subjective. I'm at about a solid 7-ish for the film. I enjoyed myself. I tend to view the stuff I didn't like in this as kind of a comedy almost, because I it's laughable in the sense of its unrealism to me as someone who is like has like a bunch of military autism BS that I do on the side as a hobby. Um, I so even when the AC-130 is doing this absurd stuff, I'm found myself laughing at the film, even though I understood objectively that's a fucking issue. Um, I don't know if I don't think the film intended me to laugh at those things, but I still derived enjoyment for myself from them. The film can get pretty brutal as far as the commandos being executions. I enjoy Kang as a villain. Uh, Even though he has a lot of issues as a character, I still enjoyed him as a villain. I tended to like most of the characters. I didn't find Connor to be particularly annoying. It's always a dangerous thing having uh, a child in an action film, whether they're going to be a burden and an annoyance. I think this did that pretty well, and it helps that he's not in the film for very long. He's just there to be established as a character, and he's missing and needs to be found. So they turn him into an objective, which was fine. I like that. So yeah, solid 7. I enjoyed myself in the film quite a bit. Objectively, I think the attack on the White House in the first act is probably the weakest action set piece. We went over that. It's got scores of issues. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Needless to say, it boils down to plot armor for a lot of the North Korean commandos, bullet sponges with their bodies, the Secret Service, and their lack of brain cells. And I would say a lot had to be lucky for things to go a certain way, for Kang's plan to go according to plan. And I think plot armor is pretty heavy throughout the film. That doesn't necessarily take away from the competence of Banning, but there's some bits where plot armor sticks out for him, and occasionally some other characters. I would say world building, again, mostly have logistical questions about the AC-130, logistical questions about Hydra, logistical questions about how Kang got all this information, logistical questions about Cerberus. Those weigh pretty, I would say, kind of like half of the world, because those are pretty plot reliant. But there are a lot of world building questions that prop up. Characters, I think Mike's fantastic. I don't really have many issues with him, aside from the fact that he should probably have asked his CIA director to send someone to look after his wife just in case. That's a pretty glaring nick into his character. I think other than that, though, Banning is a pretty solid character. I would say Speaker, good, competent in his job. I didn't think he was overplaying his character very much, and Morgan Freeman just showed up for the check, but did his job. I don't have any issues with the script either. General, more of a cartoon character, but he's got some easy fixes that he didn't do, so the cartoonishness of him stands out a little bit more. So again, that kind of ties into the tone of the film, which is the cartoony / cheesy bits stand out a little bit more because the film tries to be very grounded most of the time. And I think that's bad for the case of the general specifically. Leah has a good motivation. He has a good conversation with Banning. President and the secretary, good characters. I like them both. They have their heart to heart, and I can buy that the character would break because as far as he knows, it's going to come down to them needing his code, and he's like, well, they can torture me to death and I won't care. I won't give it to them because I know for sure that Connor is safe now. So that tracks for me mostly. There's a few questions of I think he can observe that one of the Cerberus codes is being hacked into. Kang, A lot of damage to the plot gets thrown into his character, but he does come off as a very competent villain with a layered attack strategy. He has some bits that are out of like questionable for his character. Him, you know, going out himself to shoot Madam Secretary probably didn't need to happen. But I think by and large he's very competent. He knows when to try and play mind games. There's more, I assume, again, plot issues with his plan. But with what we have, I think Kang's pretty solid with, again, maybe a nick to his character here and there. Um, so overall, I think I'm at a solid 6. I've been bouncing between a 5 and a 6, and I think I'm landing on a 6 for now.
Righty then. Let's go with Sprinks.
Oh boy. Let's go with my subjective. This movie was being like a 6.5 kind of feel. Just, action movie, fine premise, fine entertainment. And then constantly seeing the clock thing and the names, I'm like, okay, they're kind of giving this feel to it of listing everything of like when stuff is occurring and kind of like the, I guess like a sit rep or not what's it called? The follow up after a mission or something like when events happen at what time kind of thing. And that's kind of the structure feel it gave. And then that last time thing didn't line up to the times at all, which made me question, did any of the times actually matter for anything? Like, it wasn't said at the end. It's like, well, we know that it did take you a couple hours to get from point A to point B. None of that mattered. The times didn't seem to matter, especially from the 7 in the morning thing to the 10 at night thing. It's like that whole day when the president was taken hostage. It just wanted nighttime, so Mike looked dark and grimy or whatever. I kind of found that very disappointing. So that knocked down my subjective a bit. But I think the movie's still fine, good pass. It does kind of feel like one of those movies this is like a great TV movie. Like this is one I'd see playing on the TV kind of thing on cable. So I have it at a 6. I think it's fine. I am kind of hoping that the next one and the third one are a little more entertaining for being that it didn't stop here. They made, 3 of them total. Hopefully that's a good sign. Objectively, I will say my objective, when I finished this movie last night, I wrote down a 7. That's where I started with. Then, this morning, I went, maybe it's more 6.5. Maybe it's more in that vein. And then we did the whole coverage. And I even started off today, I don't think it was in recording, but I said, my objective is very teeter-tottery. I don't know, it's not really solidified yet. We had our whole conversation, our whole coverage. I know where it is now, but I'll go with the cinematography is fine. No shot, I'm like, wow, that's a great shot. No, the only one that really stands out to me that I remember, like, okay, that's different, is a scene where Mike is checks a corner in a hallway and it's a Dutch angle. And I'm like, okay, that's a little different, a little creative. That's about it. The music.
The Helicopter Blade one, right?
No, that didn't look very good. The shot was like structured to him, but it was all green screened. If that was actually like a practical fall, I think it would have looked a lot better. Of like the movement and the wind on the focus around the side and everything. That I think would have looked a lot better. This was very much just falling.
The shot is good, but the effects are not good.
The shot's fine. The idea of what they're going for is good. Of what they wanted it to be. So, the music I think is pretty good. Music overall. I do like from the very patriotic horns part of like displaying characters and America, hoorah kind of thing, to the little slow strum guitar when Mike is talking to Leia on the phone. I think those are, like, the music overall is pretty good. Acting's fine. I think everyone does pretty good. I think Aaron Eckhart is probably my favorite portrayal of acting in this movie, from the, like, calm justice side of things to the, got to get things done. I'm not going to negotiate with terrorists. I think he does very well. I don't know if Gerald Butler was a good casting for this movie. I think he does fine with what he has, but I think it could have gone to someone maybe not trying to hide a Scottish accent, being a Secret Service member in a very American patriotic movie. It just had this kind of weird. I don't know if that goes into the humor of it, but I doubt it with a casting call situation. I was trying to think of like people who I would see fit this role more, and I'm thinking someone around Gerald Butler's age or size. Like I was thinking like Matt Damon could probably definitely do it, but he might be a little too young. I thought David Harbour, but he might be a little too funny, not as serious. So like just people in that vein kind of thing. But I don't know if Gerald Butler was the best cast. Everyone else I think it was cast fine. Lighting, a lot of dark lighting. Nothing seems unnatural, like when he's in the walls, that seems fine, or going around the White House at night, or the snowstorm hit at the beginning of the movie. All that in the lighting of dark seems to work very fine. And then the bright things are fine. CGI it looks outdated. It looks like something in early 2000s, and this came out in 2013. And I know budget is a factor into some things and all, but CGI just did not look up to date, up to time, especially when Avengers came out a year prior. But again, budget. Shoot, what else? I always forget. I mean, kind of the big hit is the writing. It seems like here's a generic backbone story that we want to go with, but all the incorporations, things like Forbes' kids dying. Okay, what else is there? Nothing really. The first lady died in the car crash. How about we go more? No, she's dead. Well, in the scene there, we'll cut to black. The Kane's plan of escape. He's like, oh, while they're looking at the chopper, we'll go out the back route. What is the back route? What do we don't know. Stuff like that is just kind of like missed in writing because it's like focus on the action, focus on the explosion. So that kind of thing, and that's like a lot of issues, a lot of flaws, a lot of problems that were found and picked out, and it's not like little nitpicks where it's like, it doesn't really sway. This kind of sways it. This sways a good chunk. It's like that's not thought out right or explained in one sentence or shown somehow. Nothing. So that was very disappointing in that vein. So I feel like I've said everything. I'm probably always forgetting something. Costume design, fine. Costume design was actually very good. Everyone looked their part. Yeah, objective. I give this a 5. It's like it just has just enough worse in it of the movie as a whole to drop it down from just a 5.5 average. But I wish there was things we said that would be better for it. But yeah, 5.
Right, listening to you talk, Springs. Yeah, you listen to me talk. I listen to you talk, Springs. I think I'm going to drop mine to a 5.5.
Okay.
My objective.
Can do.
Alrighty. Then that leaves me. So I will start with my subjective. And I'll kind of get peek behind the curtain. The reason of why I picked this trilogy over other trilogies, I had a list of 20. It was really hard for me to pin it down, and
the most
Springs
out of
was
any
getting
of us.
tired of me bringing it up. But this was a trilogy that I knew was pretty much non-existent to both of you, having like not seeing it. Ryder knew of it, and I hadn't seen all of it, so that was a kind of a selling point. Is at some point we're all blind, and London Has Fallen will be an all blind one. So that was a big driving force. Not necessarily that it's my favorite trilogy ever. It's not. This is a fine action movie. It doesn't stand out as being all that unique. I think White House Down is far better. Way better. This is a 6.5. It's decent. I could watch it again, but I don't really need to see it again. Nothing really bugs me about it except the general. And even then, it's not that bad. Oh, well, and Dave actually does bug me. he had potential, but they did not utilize him. And the humor that there is, I think, is well done. Nothing like laugh out loud, but it's comedic. Objectively, I don't know what's left for me to really cover. You guys did a pretty thorough job. I'm not as harsh as Sprinks with the effects. I think they're okay for the time. They're not good, but I don't think they're bad. There is some bad, but I think there's more okay than bad in this.
You can talk about the makeup department.
Dude, cuts look like cuts, bruises look like bruises. Good on them. I don't know. There's not a lot of makeup in this, like crazy makeup, I'll say. Um, I think all the characters are pretty well utilized and built, minus Dave. Kang is missing a little bit of like his exit strategy and his willingness to come out in the open to kill the secretary. It's incongruent with his intelligence level of what we understand of him. But otherwise, he's pretty consistent. I think Banning is really consistent, minus not calling ahead for Leia, either to her directly or to his higher ups to protect her, are the way it's absent. I think all the action set pieces look cool, which is the whole point of an action film, I think. So I think they did a good job. I said I think like 4 times there. Well, gotta work on that.
I want to convey it's your rating. We got it.
Yeah, I think it is. There you go. The plane stuff, atrocious. The helicopter bit with the seals, embarrassing. Like the seals are supposed to be really high up
Seals.
on the military level. They're like what, a step below the Rangers. Seals are up there.
I think the
Uh,
seals are actually supposed to be above Rangers, but
yeah. Or
the
Green
people,
Berets or whatever. No,
yeah,
I'm forgetting the tier list of them, but they're really
yeah.
high up regardless. And they were just pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Couldn't shoot one stationary target between 6 or 7 helicopters. Abysmal. Let's see. I am rambling a lot, and I agree with a lot of what you guys were saying.
Is there anything
But
you
I am
disagreed with? Anything we said?
Well, I disagreed with the level of the effects, but they are great. No, I kind of agreed with most of it. There wasn't a lot of us butting heads or debating in this one. I feel like we're all pretty universal on a lot of the talking points in this one. I'm at a 6 though. I don't have it as hit as hard as you guys for all those things, but it is hit. So I'm at a 6.
Huh. So our objective is a 5, 5.56, and our subjective is a 6, 6.57.
Good job, everybody.
We're
I love
very
it.
bunched
See the
together.
symmetry.
I think we all relatively
Are we
feel the
lined up
same
the
about this movie.
Yeah,
No, we're
it's
not lined up the
pretty
same.
mid movie. It's a pretty mid movie.
Yeah. I'm the lowest, and you two are average to equal.
All right.
Yeah, it's a pretty mid movie. I think this movie would be fun if we were binging the House Has Fallen trilogy, but we made a drinking game of it.
Ooh.
That'd
I'm
be
looking
tight.
forward to next week, knowing that this movie had enough to get a sequel and a third.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, do you guys, if you just saw this, it just came out, it's 2013, would you want or expect another one?
No.
Not really.
Yeah. There's no real setup. It doesn't need another movie.
The next one's London. We're going international. Like,
Yeah.
well, I guess
Oh,
Korea
yeah.
in this one, but
I mean, like, showing, nations' capitals falling are interesting. I don't mind seeing that.
Yeah, just as this doesn't seem like the start of a franchise.
not
Yeah.
really.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
And
Well,
I didn't really say it in the facts, but there's a 4th one being not in production, but wanted from Gerard Butler and the
wow.
creator. But they want it to be done right, and they haven't found.
Let's
the right
jot that
script yet.
down next to the Left Behind sequel that's being talked about.
Yeah. So nothing's in production, but they do want it if it's done right. So, but it's also been 8 years since Angels Fallen, I think.
Well, that was 2019.
And that was 19, so 7 years.
Yeah. No wonder I haven't heard about it. It came out the same year as Endgame.
It was actually the same day release. Who would have guessed?
That's stupid.
That's
Not just crazy. That's stupid.
That's
It would be stupid.
insane marketing right there.
Suicide right there. All right. Anything else before Ryder takes us out?
I'm excited to see what the next two have. That's all I got.
Yeah, same pretty much.
Because audience, how we're doing all the trilogy together. We're not doing like Crimson's first one, then my first one, then Ryder's first one. Kind of like we're doing all three, and then we're going to the next trilogy.
Yeah, I'm curious to how like they're going to justify Gerard Butler being in the next one if it's in London. He's Secret Service.
I don't know. Maybe the president's got to go to London.
Maybe.
Is it still his term? Because at the beginning of this movie, he's like, "Oh, the re-election campaign."
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Is that all, gentlemen, or shall I read us out?
Yep.
I think so.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, audience, for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, CastBox, GoodPods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And if you need to be our visual side of things, be it YouTube, Rumble, or frickin' Spotify, thank you for watching our PNG Duper slideshow there. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Springs.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.